All right, peace, family. I first want to start off this podcast with a quote from Malcolm X, because recorded in the New York Times while he was in Mecca. He said, "I shall never rest. I shall never rest until I have undone the harm I did to so many well-meaning Negroes. I totally reject Elijah Muhammad's racist philosophy, which he has labeled Islam, only to fool and misuse gullible people." Today we're going to explore the question of would we see Malcolm X as a cult leader if he were alive today, right? We're going to listen to the audio from Dr. Ben-Jochnnan. But before we get started, I want to remind you that I'm part of a podcasting network called KWAZ Radio.
Hello there, dear listener. We hope you're enjoying this lovely discussion. If you're not already aware, this show is part of a podcast network called KWAZ Radio, a Pan-African Nationalist and Garveyite network committed to showcasing the rich and varied thoughts of African people. We have an exciting lineup of shows that we think you'll enjoy, including
the Bitter Medicine Podcast.
I think black people require too much buy-in. Like, we constantly have to sell black people on things that are beneficial to black people.
The Pro-Black Perspective Podcast.
I'm fearful that our people are not really studying how to get ahead, and we're kind of, continually staying behind.
The Harsh Reality Podcast.
To me, it don't matter. I think people are so dumbed down, it wouldn't matter what you reveal to them. They still are in the matrix. They're in the simulation. They're going to keep doing what they did. They lemmings. So to me, it don't matter, man.
The Learning Curve Podcast.
Sexual access has never given you economic empowerment. The only person who has ever been economically empowered by a sexual relationship is the wasp and his woman.
The Cathedra Cheek Show.
When we start rising up to fight for our own, I guarantee you they'll stop doing what they're doing. I guarantee you they would have let their brother go. They was waiting to see what black folks was going to do.
Brother Bakari Podcast.
Black people love to claim folks that hate them, right? They're a slave master, and they are ashamed of who they really are.
The Forecast Radio.
Like, if you pray to the same deity as, like, your enemy, and that God blesses your enemy more than you may want to reconsider who you praying to,
And Tanzan, African Mind.
Africans generally are welcoming of everyone. Sometimes, to my consternation, I think that they should be less, welcoming.
If you love our podcast network, we would be grateful if you could rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. Follow us on social media, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and check out our website at www.kwazradio.com for more information. Thank you for tuning in. And now, back to the program.
Peace, fam. We got Revolutionary Matron in the building. Appreciate the sister for coming through. We're going to jump right into this. We got Dr. Ben-Jochnnan. Now, if you guys want the full interview, I think the full interview might be good as far as I remember. He talks about Garvey. He talks about ancient Egypt. He talks about Christianity. The full interview's in the description. Okay. Now, don't run off right now. You know what I'm saying? We're going to play this clip where he's discussing Malcolm X. And I want you guys to hear this. I think we might even play it twice. So it starts at 31 minutes and 33 seconds. And here's the thing I want to tell you guys. It was hard for me to find this again. This was from 5 years ago. I think it was new when I first found it, right? I was looking through my history. I couldn't find it. Doesn't use his last name, I guess. I might have been looking up Jochnnan or something. You guys got to find a way to keep recordings. because I wrote this in the Book of Power, and I'll show you guys later. But if I hadn't, it would be lost. Okay? I mean, not that it would be lost, but there was a possibility it'd be lost. Now, granted, it's here, but I want you guys to realize, it's very important to transcribe things and to record things and to republish things. Those are very important because anyhow this account, which is, TAP itself, anyhow this account gets deleted or for whatever reason, it could be a political reason. Oh, they're talking about, vaccines or something. Anyhow this account is lost, a lot of records are gone unless you play your role. Okay? Let's go.
And we were able to speak to Africans and listen to us, but they listened and didn't take note with pencils. They only take the note mentally. And you had many of the people, we had to fight them. Fight in words. But because they had the economy against them, the economy was in the hands of the Europeans. And he feed you, he clothed you. People would ask you all the time, you gonna pay my rent? You gonna feed me? And they went and decided at those who hold their rent.
You know what? I did say I was going to play this twice, but I realized if I just play the video without commentary, that's problematic. So I did want to just play it and then make you guys speak. Then play it again until you guys could hear what I would have to comment. But I realized, that could lose us the channel. So, like I said, back up stuff. So let's just go into it, right? And this is the thing that's so important. He's saying, look, we would talk to black folk. Now the first point he made about take notes, right? If you do not take notes, now there's two things to that actually. So I remember, like I said, I went to grad school, and occasionally you'd ride the train. I think, yeah, you'd ride the train, and black man, a handsome black man, I guess, would sometimes strike a conversation with me, right? Or I'll strike a conversation with him. I don't know. But it's very few black PhD students at the school I went to. The HWCU. And so you strike a conversation with a brother, obviously, right? The black man was a philosophy major, and he gave me a quote that I remember because we had a few conversations, and it's one of those things that you remember. He said something along the lines of Plato says we write things in order to forget them, right? Now Alton Maddox Jr. By the way, shout out to Revolutionary Matron, right? Revolutionary Matron is in the building, and make sure you guys check out her podcast because, like I said, she's reading Chancellor Williams' Destruction of Black Civilization and giving the commentary as well. But she's reading the book for us. But I want to say, when I was in the UAM, United African Movement, with Alton Maddox Jr., he would tell us, you got to bring a paper and clipboard. Like, it got to a point where you couldn't even enter the meeting, your admission into the meeting, because you couldn't charge at the door, right? For family events, you couldn't charge at the door. Basically, the law was that you couldn't charge at the door, because if you could charge at the door, that means that anybody can pay. And if anybody can pay, then you can't stop white folk from coming in. So because you couldn't charge at the door, there was another way to charge at the door, which was, did you bring your freaking clipboard? If you didn't bring your clipboard, right, then you weren't really seriously going there for the study opportunity, for the learning opportunity. And if you weren't seriously there for the learning opportunity, then get out, go away, right? Or buy a clipboard. But either way, he made us bring a clipboard and a pen in order to take notes as he was speaking. And one of the things that, note taking does is that he was saying, and I agree with this, it's very hard to solve problems without writing them down. If I tell you, and my son could do this, by the way, but if I tell you 79 times 8, right? Now, my son could do this in his head, but it's a difficult question to do, or it's much easier to do after you write it down. Now, you could do that, but now if I say What about 897 times 464, right? Again, you put a paper and pen, you could do that very easily. Now you're doing that in your head, it might not be as easy. And you could just keep going up. When multiplication, you could still do it writing it down. You know? All right, maybe there's like a limit, not really a limit, but maybe you might not want to do 4,737,000,000. You might not want to do that on paper, but it would be easier than to do it in your head, right? So as to say that writing things down does add to your thing. Now, like your ability to solve problems. And of course, when we're in this quote unquote Pan-African nationalist tradition, we're here to solve problems, right? We're here to solve problems. The other thing he said, and I'll try to intervene, more as he's speaking, because like I said, I realize there's a legalistic question. I don't have the preface like Matron does, where she's like, "Hey, look, no copyright infringement intended," right? But when we have the economics, when he's talking about the economics, he's saying, look, he's saying in economics, ultimately, if you're trying to, like, I tell people, this is why I stopped telling people, liberation. You're not paying anybody's rent. Okay? You're not paying anybody. I mean, the only person that you're paying the rent to, for the most part, is the pastor. So if you tell the pastor, hey, look, I don't like when you do so on and so forth, maybe he might listen, although he probably won't. But maybe he might listen. But for the most part, if you're not paying people's rent, they're not interested in listening to you. And I was actually talking about this to a brother yesterday. You have to get yourself in a position to be employing people. See, because I'll tell you this. Your employer tells you, hey, get this report on my desk by Monday. You know what you're doing Sunday evening? if you don't got the good work ethic, right? You know what you're doing Sunday evening? Because he pays your rent. You understand? Now, if I tell you, get this on my desk by Monday evening, you might do it. Or by Monday morning, you might do it. But if you don't, there's no skin off your back. No, hair off your chest or whatever the phrase is. Nothing off of you. Right? Revolutionary Matron pointed out, he who controls the economy controls you. That's it. And this is why I tell people, you got to get out of America. At least spend some time at home. At least spend some time at home. And that's why, even though I'm going to show you guys the Book of Power. The Book of Power is great. But I'm mad at myself for writing a book without having gone to Africa. I'm mad at myself to be so involved in the Pan-African nationalist voice and the Pan-African nationalist movement, and I haven't gone to Africa at that point. Okay? So, of course, I'm still telling you, you see it across the screen, get yourself a copy of the Book of Power. Get yourself a copy of the Pro-Black Compendium. But I understand that was a problem that we had. That I had. And a lot of us have. Where a lot of us do not touch grass. Do not touch sand. In the homeland. But then we're experts on it. Shout out to Revolutionary Matron, right? She's reading Chancellor Williams. Chancellor Williams did not write Destruction of Black Civilization until he spent an exorbitant amount of time in Africa. And I'm not saying everything he said is right. I'm not saying everything he said is wrong. I'm just saying the dude did the legwork. But he didn't do the legwork so that you don't have to. He did the legwork because he had to. But just to tie it back in, when you're in Africa, you actually see that the economy is in our hands. Now, you might say, well, on a macro scale, at the, or really expensive things. Yeah, really expensive things, and sort of so forth. But you can see on a micro scale, at least. You can go to places on the micro scale where black folk are functioning as the economical units of the community. Where they're not just the buyers, they're also the sellers. There's a difference between, and I mean, in America, you could sometimes go into some neighborhoods and you could somehow see, some black businesses and some black people, but it's not to the same degree. Like earlier today, I was contacting a brother. Maybe I shouldn't say who, but I was talking to a brother, and I was like, hey, I wanna know about pipe sealers or something like that, right? And the brother was like, yeah, basically, are there black owned businesses for this? Not exactly. Now, I'm not saying that in Africa they're all producing every single thing that you need, because that's not true. They're still buying from foreigners as well. But again, it's definitely an eye-opening experience, and not just that. When somebody comes to you and says, "Are you paying my rent?" When you're in America, you're not paying this damn rent. You can't afford it. You can't afford a second rent. You know what I'm saying? Unless you're rich, you can't afford a second rent. If you're in Africa and somebody says, "Are you paying my rent?" Guess what? You can. Easily. Depending on what city you're in, you could easily pay somebody's rent. And then he's going to listen to you. He's going to do what you ask. Brother was talking to me about, hey man, what if I could do it? And I'm like, look man, if you want something to be done when you're in Africa, just produce a penny. Not literally a penny, but just produce a penny. Pretty penny. And you got it. Because I don't want to, I don't want no pocket watchers. So I don't really say how much is how much. But I can tell y'all this in fact. So the house I was building in Africa is very expensive. It kind of went over budget. So because it went over budget, the brother, like basically the queen let a brother watch it, security guard overnight, right? You know how much the security guard's getting paid to watch it? 5,000 shillings a day. 5,000 Tanzanian shillings a day. You know what that is? $2. He's working 5,000 shillings, and that's a good amount of money. And the dude, apparently he didn't get paid for 2 weeks. I didn't know about this, right? He didn't get paid for 2 weeks. And he's still watching it. And he's like, hey man, no, he's not talking to me. He's talking to the queen. He's like, hey, if you don't pay, eventually, I'll have to stop watching your house. You understand? He's doing this for $2 a day. Now, you don't got to go that cheap, but what I'm saying is that if you got $4 a day, you could get people to work in your, school. You got $4 a day. You got people who will work for your movie production company. Speaking of revolutionary matron, there was one time that I, and two other people did a play together. We read together, and she and the other brother were the best voices there. Right? But that kind of, and of course, I've eventually seen some people, making a living on YouTube doing like voiceovers or doing like cartoons with customized voices, or maybe they're even biting people's voices, whatever, right? You could pay people on the continent $10, $5, right? $5, $10. And you could get them to do a voiceover. I mean, you could pay people, just a little bit more for whatever the freak you want. So, of course, they're going to take $10 for a voiceover. A lot of people. Not everybody. Of course not. You come to me, you say, hey, man, I'll give you $10 for a voiceover. Get the fuck out of my face. What's wrong with you? Right? But you got to understand the opportunity. So, another thing is that, like he said, but here in America, again, like I said, in America, you tell somebody, hey, man, $10 for your voice. Shut the fuck up. Shut up! I get more than $10 just sitting on the sidewalk. You know what I'm saying? Sit on the sidewalk, put my hands out for like 2 minutes. You crazy? Fuck, I look like working for $10. But what I look like. But what he's saying about the situation when it comes to talking to people, the African Americans, and this is back in the day, they're like, "Are you paying my rent?" Because the thing about the American situation and a situation a lot of black Westerners face is that this white boy pays their rent. This white boy sells in the house and he pays their rent. He pays their mortgage. And so you know who they're going to be loyal to, right? Because you want them to be loyal to you. You want them to do a revolution for you. And for what? To lose their house? To lose the food? And look, I get the idea. And look, I'm not saying that they shouldn't. I'm just saying that it's a very rare individual. Okay? It's a very rare individual who's going to bite the hand that feeds them. My son is too young to understand right now. But, and of course, I'm a loving father and I would never do something like this. But my son is in a position where if I said, look, you're not going to eat, he's not going to eat. You understand? And I mean, of course, again, I would never do this. But if I said, you're not going to eat for 5 fucking days, he's not going to eat for 5 fucking days. You should not be in a position like that. I mean, obviously he's a kid, and obviously I'm his loving father, so this wouldn't happen. But what I'm telling you is that there are kids that do suffer like that from their parents. None of us even fucking know. There are kids, I'll tell you, I remember reading I feel it was like one of them reality TV shows. Now, it might have been fake. Hopefully it was fake. But this lady would send her kids into the shower to take boiling hot baths as a punishment till their skin melted. White women, obviously. Right? There are women, there are mothers who, they end up murdering and torturing their kids. Why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this to say you are in an economy of another people if you're in the West. And when you go to Africa, you realize you're an economy of your own peoples. Yes, are they buying products from other people? Everybody does. Everybody does. Should they be producing more of their own things? Absolutely. But you can play a role in that production. Unlike here. I'm not saying you can't produce things here, but it's more costly here than it is over there. That's all I'm going to say. It's more costly. Human labor. This is why a lot of the things move out of the community. And I guess to run the point home, one time there's this community in New York City called Brownsville, right? And it used to be a pretty safe area. Right now it's the hood. Right now it's the hood where murder, children, jail, right? But once upon a time, it was a nice thriving area. And so the elders would tell you it was a pretty good area when there were factories here. So there used to be factories in Brooklyn. But of course, those factories went to India, where the labor was cheaper. You see? So what I'm telling you is that even this white boy understands that if you can get cheaper labor, go get cheaper labor. And now you might have some sort of moral qualm. Somebody might have told you, well, it's not really that moral to get labor and blah, blah, blah. Don't believe a freaking word. That's cap. People are happy to get paid. People are happy to get paid. And you're doing, because again, what happened to Brownsville, right? What happened to Brownsville is what happens when you don't get paid. Although Brownsville is a little bit worse because again they're putting guns in there. Again, there's a lot to it. There's a lot. It's very deep, but you don't want to be there. But anyway, I'm not going to go too much on that point. Let's go to the next. Let's just progress.
Could you actually see the change after y'all start teaching in people's consciousness and in their actions? Yeah, because you see Malcolm had come up, Big Red, had turned with Elijah Muhammad down in jail. Malcolm had started to read, but unfortunately, he was an Asiatic black man. That's what Muhammad teach, an Asiatic black man. And black men like me were put aside. You had to be light-skinned like Malcolm.
Okay, so you see, another thing is that this is Dr. Ben, right? This is not, Oni, right? And everybody knows. I wish I knew I was gonna go, pause, because I got this book by David Lettering Lewis on W. Du Bois. It actually might be in storage, honestly, but the book, it goes along the lines of it talks about the colorism in America, and so what he's saying is that part of the success of Malcolm X, part of the success of Elijah Muhammad in America, was not only the colorism, right? Oh, here are some light skinned people, but also they weren't claiming to be Africans. Now, I'm not saying that. No. In fact, I could say they were not claiming to be Africans. Now, Malcolm X knew better eventually, right? But a part of what the NOI was, the message was we are Asiatic black men. Okay? And in a sense, it was, and if you actually look into the Nation of Islam literature, they're really talking about black, not necessarily, I wouldn't say black, but men with light skin and straight hair. Okay? Straight hair. And you got to think about that. Because you sitting here right now saying to yourself, I ain't got no damn straight hair. Yeah, you don't. The kinky hair, I wish I had that video ready, but the kinky hair was a sign of like savagery, primitiveness. Like a punishment, a curse. You understand? And you have to think about all the times you see Farrakhan and what kind of hair he has. And why. And of course you also got to think about what's his complexion. See, because even if I say stuff, and by the way, I want y'all to remember this about Dr. Ben. This is the thing you guys remember. So Dr. Ben is what we call an African nationalist, which is what we call a Garveyite. See, compared to Dr. Clark, who was a socialist, Dr. Ben was the Garveyite. I just want you guys to remember that. All right, let's keep going.
Oh, like Muhammad. You see, Malcolm White was a rarity. She was dark skinned. And he was the first child of Malcolm. Malcolm married her as a substitute.
Now pay attention here. Now this is a little bit on the Gossip Girl side, right? But at the same time, this is a historian, so it's useful. He's saying Betty Shabazz was the substitute for Malcolm X. Now hear this. I want y'all to listen closely. Hear this.
He had to marry her. That isn't what he carried to Muhammad for approval. A lot of people don't know that. All right then. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. And that when Muhammad's son had told Malcolm that the woman that Muhammad made pregnant was one that he had sent there. Also, Muhammad was to get her ready for the ministry. But you know what happened?
What?
And that made Malcolm mad. So, I just want to look at this masses of people that listen to y'all every week.
So I want y'all to hear that. I mean, I don't know if I can rewind it, but I want y'all to get that. I don't know if y'all process what he just said. Now, again, this is Dr. Ben. This is a historian. This is a confidant of quite a few people. This is an informed man. And granted, he's an old man, but he's an informed man. What he is saying here is that NOI protocol, okay? Nation of Islam protocol was before you got married, you had to, the leader, okay? The leader, the cult leader, the real cult leader, had to approve of who you married. Which is, look, again, not a bad idea, right? You know, like if you felt like you knew somebody who was wise beyond their years, or wise beyond you, wiser than you, you know, it's not a bad idea to seek their advice as to who you want to marry. Elijah Muhammad ended up sleeping with this woman, getting her pregnant. And so, what Dr. Ben is telling us is that a lot of the conflict, a lot of the pushback, a lot of the awakening that Malcolm X got was when this man, when another man just effed his wife. You know, pulled a Tupac. You know, first off, no, that's why I feel you fat mother. You know, that's what happened. Now look, I shouldn't say that's what happened. That's what Dr. Ben is saying what happened. And this is not, again, this is a reputable source. He's saying one of those women that Elijah Muhammad got pregnant was one of those women that Malcolm X sent for his approval. Afterward, he said, you know what, fuck that. I'm going to get me a dark-skinned woman. And I'm not going to send her for approval. Elijah Muhammad played him. He was playing all of them. And the thing is this. You know that already. You know that already. Let me continue with this. I think that might be the end of it. So.
And the kind of transformation that you could actually see. There was people going and coming. People going, they will listen till as much as they could, and then they could go on, another group come on, you know, were always people. How much teaching did y'all do? How long? How in terms of hours?
By the way, so you could hold on to your mouse button and fast forward videos. So I think this might have passed the Malcolm X situation, but we're just gonna listen to a little bit more to see if it so.
We talk for hours till it get dark, really dark. Morning tonight. I do. For instance, I taught at school, and I would be 8 o'clock in the evening or 7 o'clock in the evening. I would be finished. In my class, a lot of classes were held late because people come to school because they had to work and get the money. People were just going to school. You didn't have that kind of money. You had to get work and then earn money to keep yourself in school. So actually, y'all have a university right in the street. Yeah. Yeah. We do teach mathematics in the street. We teach mathematics, science, business. We teach anything like that. We have professors at different colleges. You come there and join us. Professor Lambert, big man, Professor Lambert. He came and taught mathematics. He was teaching at Florida. So in essence, y'all made the community a college. Yes, a university. The whole community. Okay, so you guys, basically hear his credentials. Anyway, but that is big. So what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna show you guys a few Malcolm X quotes, as well as then we're gonna dive into the Malcolm X book, and then we're gonna revisit this quote, this video, but just the writing. So I hope you guys know why we're doing this. Now again, some people didn't approve of this being included in my book, but I had to include it because I think that there's this big danger that we have when it comes to cults. I realize how powerful a cult is. I realized because at the time of me writing the Book of Power, in fact, there were some cultists who started coming for me. Cultists, even to the point where I think they were in some, I don't remember, I don't really pay attention, but they were like they needed to send blood samples to Africa type shit. That kind of club. So cult. So what I'm saying is that you don't actually need to be in a cult to be successful in this world. But let's look at some of these quotes from Malcolm X and them, right? So again, this is the quote from the beginning, right? I shall never rest until I have undone the harm I did to so many well-meaning Negroes. I totally reject Elijah Muhammad's racist philosophy, which he has labeled as Islam
only to fool and misuse gullible people. Elijah Muhammad was saying, I think some other guy, Fard, maybe Fard Muhammad or something, I don't know the guy's name, was a god. Or that Elijah Muhammad could speak to a god. And, Malcolm X would always say, the honorable Elijah Muhammad, the honorable. And so here's a quote from Louis Farrakhan, right? He had preached the truth as revealed to Muhammad by Allah, that the white race is a race of devils. And again, I'm not saying I disagree with this, right? Malcolm X now pleased to the white man that he had learned that they were not devils by seeing so-called white Muslims in Mecca. Now again, I'm not saying I agree with Malcolm here. The die is set and Malcolm shall not escape, especially after such evil, foolish talk about his benefactor, Elijah Muhammad. Such a man as Malcolm is worthy of death. Now remember, Malcolm X brings Farrakhan and up inside of the organization. He pretty much is his mentor. But because of the cult, and again, I'm not saying you should never turn against people in your organization, in your nation, in your cult, right? But you got to think about what happened to Malcolm. You got to think about who Elijah Muhammad really was. Was he a man able to speak to a God? No. And even this podcast where I'm talking about Nation of Islam, a lot of people back in the day, we wouldn't even do that. Look, don't talk about Nation of Islam. You understand? I want you to understand that there's this danger in cults. And what the thinking is. Because again, Malcolm X was not doing this guy any wrong. But we're going to look at some of these quotes and see if any of them... so this was one of my favorite back in the day. But you guys could pause and read it on your own time. This is actually a really good quote to give people. As anytime you see someone more successful than you are, they're doing something you aren't. But this is Malcolm X again. I'm looking at Malcolm X quotes. This is a decent quote from Elijah Muhammad, I'm guessing. It says, "Don't condemn if you see a person that's a dirty glass of water. Just show them the clean glass of water that you have. When they inspect it, you won't have to say that yours is better." Right? Again, and this is why I tell people, stop trying to build Africa from, wherever the freak you are. Like, if you're not in Africa, stop trying to tell people that there's a dirty glass. Build yourself a clean glass. What I'm doing in Africa, I got me a home, got me a lady, building me a family. Okay? Got me some businesses. That's the clean glass of water. That's the clean glass of water. And when you say to yourself, you know what, I'm in America, I ain't got no businesses, I ain't got no home, I ain't got no blah, 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 blah. I ain't got no woman, I ain't got no good relationships. I just say, hey, look, man, there's a clean glass of water for you to drink. I'm drinking a clean glass of water, and you can get one too. So I was telling these brothers yesterday, matter of fact, I said, look, it's like when you on the ocean, you read the sign, and it says, put your life, in the case of an emergency, put your life vest on before you help other people. Now, obviously, with your kid, you might try to help them first because, what the freak's the point, right? But, and of course they advise not to, but still, I'm saying you might want to do that. Either way, you're supposed to understand what's meant by put your life vest on. A lot of us are like, hey, man, I want to get blah, blah, blah. I want black people to be free. I want black people to be free. And then you ain't free. Okay. Well, get your black ass free first. And then we can talk. That's why at the end of the day, again, I'm writing a book, so I'm gonna say this is my original first favorite book. But because I'm writing a book, I'm gonna put my own book above that. So my second favorite book on the planet is Ptah Htp. Okay? Instructions of Ptah Htp. My favorite book on the planet, and I think it's probably the best book in human history, and I think most people would agree, If you count every human being on the planet, most of them would say, yeah, Ptah Htp is the best book on in existence, because it's probably the oldest book ever, and it might be the basis of learning for countless generations in ancient Egypt, and countless foreigners who visited. But the thing I love the most about Ptah Htp is that this is a free man. A lot of the books that we pass, we say, oh, this is a classic. Even because we're gonna read some Malcolm X. Even the books that we say are classics, like Malcolm X, right? They're slavery books. They're oppressed books. They're colonized books. They're unliberated books. Ptah Htp is that clean glass of water. But anyway, let me keep going. Here, this is Malcolm X. Oh no, that's not it. No, I don't even agree with that quote, but you guys could read it. I'm gonna scroll up. I'm just to read this one, but you guys could read this. Where is? Oh, I went backwards by mistake. Look at this. You cannot read anything that Elijah Muhammad has ever written that's pro-Africa. I defy you to find one word in his direct writings that's pro-Africa. You can't find it. Now the question becomes, Malcolm X, why were you with this man? Smiling Aardvark says, hi. Brother Bakari says, peace and black power. Now the question becomes, if you cannot... Oh, shoot. Do I have a bad view for you guys? I apologize. I got the zoomed view. A part of me didn't want y'all... I don't like how you can't have control over, your YouTube views, on the side. Oh, no, this is not the right window either. Where is it? Maybe this. All right, so... I didn't like how you can't see the YouTube views on the side, so I zoomed it in. But that was a mistake on my part. So let me see if I can. I'm gonna find you guys some. We're going to go to this page. All right. So, oh shit, I went to the YouTube views anyway. That's the freaking. That's a freaking. I was gonna show you guys a quote from. I'm debating whether I should show you guys a quote from. The religious text. One thing I was going to say, though, I didn't like about Dr. Ben and Dr. Clark was that they always had, religious debates for some reason. I don't really care for religion like that. But let me see if how the view looks. It's good. And I think you guys can see the websites on the top, too. All right, so back to what we were doing. So let me just see if there's any other quotes. So this is Carlos Cooks after he meets Malcolm X. Malcolm X asks him, why can't we get together? And Carlos Cooks told him, we'll get together when you get a program. Okay? And again, it ties back into this quote earlier where I said I don't really agree. Malcolm X says, look, I for one believe that if you give people a thorough understanding of what it is that confronts them and the basic causes that produce it, they'll create their own program. And when the people create a program, you get action. Right? As to say that he's not creating a program for people. The Nation of Islam is not creating a program for people. They're giving them an understanding and based off of their own misunderstanding. I was going to say, I'll do the Bible quote. I don't really like Bible because it gives us some legitimacy. But like I said, I only read Matthew's 1-8, and so this is y'all boy Jesus. This is Matthew 7:14. He says, "Look, watch out for false prophets. They come in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ferocious wolves." Now, I think it's just one of those ironic things, right? But it is absolutely interesting that even in this ancient time, there were people walking around playing the grift. Because I realized, like for instance, this morning I had this dream. And, most of the dream didn't make any damn sense. Okay? I think I'm a student I'm in some sort of boys' school, whatever. I think we're dismissed, and then I end up seeing my mother. You know, and of course, you always think about your mother because she passed away. Now that's when I said, let me wake up, cause I know my mother's not alive. So it's just like this, even though, like, obviously, even though I was in the school, that didn't make any damn sense. Seeing my mother was a different thing, right? And that was the instant, okay, come on. Because sometimes I wake up like, oh wait, I'm not in no damn school, and I just say, fuck that. But here's the thing, I want you to understand. Dreams are a world. No, dreams are a realm of the human experience that none of us understand. Or if there's some people who understand it, we don't know them. Okay, so some people would tell me, or some thoughts that I thought about waking up was, you should have heard what your mama had to say. Okay, and why do I say that? I say that to say, because very few of us understand this. Guess what? Somebody can give us an understanding. No, somebody can pretend to give us an understanding. So even y'all boy Jesus is like, watch out for false prophets. Why? Because in this point in time, and look, I think that he's a false prophet, obviously. But in this point in time, and in every point in time, humans had dreams and didn't understand how to put two and two together. But let's say a human believes, let me go and listen to what my mama had to say. And your mother tells you, I don't know what my mama would tell me, but your mother tells you, blah, 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 blah. Now you got to ask somebody, what does that mean? And there's plenty of people around to tell you, what does that mean? Plenty of people around to tell you what it means. And Jesus was one of them. These are what we call the false prophets. They're one of the people that are going to tell you what it means. Now, for me, I say, you know what, it means nothing. And you might say, well, no, come on. You're conditioned to think you don't agree with that. That's fine. That's fine. I go about my day, I go about my life. But if you get caught up with somebody like an Elijah Muhammad who tells you, hey, you know what? Your dream means this, and so forth. He's going to end up fucking your damn wife. Or your damn husband. And you're going to look stupid. Like Elijah Muhammad. Elijah Muhammad let Malcolm X look silly. Okay, I'm not going to use a stupid word. But he made him look silly. And we're going to go over that. So they're in this organization. They don't have no program. You guys don't not know the history of the Nation of Islam and who Carlos Cooks was. But there's a documentary. I still keep forgetting to watch it. The documentary called The Hate That Hate Produced. And the documentary was originally supposed to be on Carlos Cook and the African Nationalist Pioneer Movement. But Carlos Cook said, look, I don't need to be a part of your white media. Okay? Some stupid, some Negro was walking around trying to make an interview with the black radicals in order to show the white man. So he's like, I don't need to be part of your damn interview. Why don't you go to those fake nationalists over the Nation of Islam? And that's when Malcolm X became a celebrity. To the real African nationalists, to the real Garveyites, Malcolm X and the Nation of Islam were considered fakers. Because he said they don't have a program. They don't have a plan. And I just quoted, and again, I didn't know this quote from Carlos Cooks when I quoted Malcolm X earlier. This is a document that's it's a living document. I keep editing it, to expand on, the new quotes I come across. I started this 2012. My point is, he says, why can't we get together? We'll get together when you get a program. Now, of course, Malcolm X heard James Baldwin for the first time. He was like, is that guy a faggot? But again, Malcolm X said, I should not rest until I have done the harm I did to so many well-meaning Negroes. I totally reject Elijah Muhammad's racist philosophy, which he has labeled Islam, only to fool and misuse gullible people. Now, what we're going to jump to is the autobiography of Malcolm X. This is on the Internet Archive. I guess the website that it was on was taken down, but fortunately we have the Internet Archive, which again is not a foolproof method for preserving websites. It's not a foolproof method for preserving websites. And again, shout out to everybody. I see there's no more comments, but shout out to everybody who's here. We have we're going to Malcolm X, and there's two things I want to show you guys. So I think one, I'm going to go to the King comment first. So this was just interesting. I was looking for the quote about what people thought about Malcolm X when he was alive, and sorry, I gotta go to Martin Luther, I guess. I just found it. There's a I don't advocate violence, but if whites better be glad, Martin Luther King Jr., blah, blah, right? Meet Dr. King, an intellectual. So, this is just interesting. At the end of Malcolm X's autobiography, Alex Haley gives us a little bit more insight into how the brother was thinking, right? And how the community was thinking. So, what I really wanted to do was talk about how the community was thinking. Because a lot of times what we do is we tend to valorize our ancestors, and we tend to valorize them after they die. And here's the funny thing about it. Well, not even funny. I'm not saying that we do this. I'm saying that we do this. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I'm not telling you what it's like. I think the way how they say it in the South, I guess, because like I said, Alton would say, I'm not telling you what I think, I'm telling you what I know. But it's ironic because I was looking for a different quote and I found this quote. It says, he was clearly irked when the New York Times poll among New York City Negroes reflected that 3/4 had named Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. as doing the best work for Negroes. And remember, this is New York City. So this is Malcolm X's territory. One, Dr. King is in the South, and number two, and again, this is just a poll, so it's not whatever. And another 1/5 had voted for the NAACP's Roy Wilkins, while only 6% had voted for Malcolm X, right? So I guess this is Malcolm X. He said, "Brother," he said to me, "do you realize that some of history's greatest leaders never were recognized until they were safely in the ground?" Okay? You get that? Now, this is not me saying this. This is not even, it's not even, I mean, this could be Alex Haley saying it. But this is, according to Alex Haley, Malcolm X saying it. And according to Alex Haley, New York City Negroes saying it. A lot of times we say, hey, you know what? We just want to be... Because if you think about who had the message of quote-unquote separation, it was Malcolm X. Right? Now, obviously, I would say Carlos Cooks. I would say, any other person. But, on a popular scale, it was Malcolm X. Right? Malcolm X became a celebrity, like I told you, from that documentary. However, even during this time, black folk were like, no, we would like to be integrated. Because 75% of the votes went to... Because you had a choice between Martin Luther King Jr., Roy Wilkins, and Malcolm X. Now, granted, maybe black folk were like, I'm not going to vote for Malcolm X, and, you know how people are. But 20%, 1/5 is 20%, said Roy Wilkins. 3/4, 75%, said Martin Luther King Jr. And then the remainder, right? 75 plus 20 is 95, right? So you got 6% said Malcolm X, right? And I know you're saying, well, you said 5%. Yeah, you get 3/4 was probably, maybe it was 74%, right? But this is an author, this is a writer, or this could have been, this could have been, less than, what I'm saying, 19%, whatever. Point is, yeah. Now the quote I wanted to find for you guys was the one where they said, confused. So look at this. This is, again, epilogue for Malcolm X, right? And you have this. We're going to probably go from here. Let's go from here. It's really here where he says confused, but just to give a little context, we're gonna go over here. So he says, within a few days, he had no more time to see me, He would call and apologize. He was beset by a host of problems, some of which he mentioned and some of which I heard from other people. Most immediately, there was a discontent within his organization, the OAAU. Having stayed away almost 3 times as long as he had said he would be gone, had sorely tested the morale of even his key members, and there was a general feeling that his interest was insufficient to expect his followers' interest to stay high. I heard from one member that a growing disillusion could be sensed throughout the organization. So I don't know how long he was gone. I don't even know what they're talking about, honestly, because it's been a minute. So, make sure you guys go read the autobiography of Malcolm X. But again, you wanted to read it with a thing. So he said, he returned from Africa. He went to the Hajj, whatever. Welcome home, Malcolm. And he just wasn't really part of OAAU. Now, OAAU, for those of you who don't know, Dr. Clark had a role in the OAAU, right? So Dr. Clark, he's an old man. And he sees that there's like how Dr. Ben was just talking about. Oh, this guy was really significant. And here's another thing too about the OAAU. A lot of the literature they passed around was Carlos A. Cook's literature, or the African Nationalist Pioneer Movement's literature. But a lot of people use the OAAU to say, Malcolm X would have been so on and so forth. But here, pay attention to this. In Harlem at large, in the bars and restaurants, on the street corners and stoops, there can be heard more blunt criticism of Malcolm X than ever before in his career. There were variously expressed 2 primary complaints. So 2 primary complaints, not 2 complaints, 2 primary complaints. This is like a type of complaints. One was that actually Malcolm X only talked, but other civil rights organizations were doing. And again, y'all, we got Brother Bakari in the chat, right? Brother Bakari tells you all the time, a lot of black folk are just talking. Now I know Brother Bakari is like, don't drag me into this, but this is not me saying it. But again, you got to say to yourself, what would Malcolm X be doing today when we go through all the data? Right? If the African nationalists are saying, hey, you know what? You don't have a program. And the people at large are saying, yo, this brother's really talking. Right? And even he's saying, you know what? I actually pushed a fake ideology on people where this guy was just molesting and raping teenagers. Okay? What would you call that? So the people in Harlem are saying, all he's ever done was talk. Core and SNCC and some of the people of Dr. King's are out getting beat over the head. Now, granted, I don't know about getting beat over the head, but, they were confronting the enemy. Now, would I sit at a table for some dry-ass food? No. I mean, granted, look, I shouldn't say I wouldn't because I do that now, obviously. It's not like I've never been to a damn white restaurant, but it is what it is. I think I don't know if I personally. I guess I don't know. I don't really recall going to too many white restaurants. Not recently, but I think maybe I had a handful of dates at white restaurants. And I know my dad used to take me to IHOP and shit, so I can't. When I go visit him in another state, so I can't really say I've never been to a white restaurant. But whatever. So the second major complaint was that Malcolm X was himself too confused to be seriously followed any longer. He doesn't know what he believes in. No sooner do you hear one thing than he switched to something else. The 2 complaints were not helping the old firebrand Malcolm X image any, nor were they generating the local public interest that was badly needed by his small, young OAAU. Now, I don't know if I should read this just because I see Elijah Muhammad's name. Let's see. A court had made it clear that Malcolm X and his family would have to vacate the So who pays your rent? Who pays your damn rent? Elmhurst House for its return to the adjudged legal owner, Elijah Muhammad's Nation of Islam, and other immediate problems which Malcolm X has faced included finances. Among his own expenses, a wife and 4 daughters had to be supported, along with at least 1 full-time OAU official. Upon his return from Africa, our agents from the books had delivered to me from Malcolm X a check for a sizable sum. Soon afterward, Malcolm X told me, laughing wryly, it's evaporated. I don't know where. Again, I don't know if you guys know, but Malcolm X, I think he's going to tell us eventually how much money he died with. And it was a paltry sum. Like he had like $45 to his name. Same with Dr. King. Right? Which again, it comes back to if you're trying to get a good life for you and your family, what do? And so if you're in America and you say, you know what I'm going to do is fight this white boy. Okay, who are you going to fight this white boy with? Right? Now, Elijah Muhammad becomes a millionaire from grifting people. He's a con artist. He's a cult leader. And he's grifting people. He becomes a multimillionaire. But then guess what? You owe him. You have to pretty much send your freaking wife to get fucked by him. And if you don't, he's going to take your damn house and your children are going to be on the street. This is why, when I talk to brothers these days, I tell them, get yourself some damn money. Get yourself some damn capital. Go to the fucking top. Go near the top. Stop trying to be near the bottom. Stop trying to be woke broke. Okay? Put your money where your mouth is. Be a man. Okay? I'm going to say it again. Stop trying to be woke broke. Because like my son needs to eat. Like my brother, that's why I don't even do it. But like my brother said, you guys can hit up the Cash App. Say, guess what, Oni? I like what you're doing. I like the cut of your jib. You guys don't do that, which is fine, right? But what that tells me is, but see, I could take it. And see, and again, it could be a criticism. It could be, I don't like your content. And maybe I got to just process that. But see, a lot of black people will turn away. They will go to the Asiatic black man route. They will go to the black men ain't shit route. Like, look at the sister, I don't want to say sister, but look at the lady Ro, right? Good body, okay, brick house, sure. But she goes online and collects $42,000. Well, she didn't collect it, but she was able to get $42,000 in 1 month of trashing black men. Now you ask me, Oni, you got articles from 10 years ago. How many millions of dollars did you collect? You got articles praising black men. How many millions of dollars? And what that would tell anybody who's listening, because again, I don't care, because that's like I said, I'm not really that beat up. I don't care. But if I were, but you think I could tell a young man to do what I'm doing? No. You think I could go and tell a young man, hey, this is a good route for you to take? Absolutely not. You think a young thinking lady doesn't know, like you think a young thinking lady what should be praising black men or insulting black men if all the money is funneled toward insulting black men? Look at Candace Owens and how she's living. Why she'd go on and attack black people? Why? Because that's where the economy is running. She don't gotta be a part of no damn cult. Or if she does, she just gotta repeat what MAGA's saying. And you gotta understand that a lot of people, a lot of times we want to be dignified and stand up for the truth and so on and so forth. And you realize what dignified does for you. There's a guy right now, very, very popular for standing up for that lady Ro. Right? And a lot of black women are like, hey, you know what? You sure right, man. You on our side. You an ally. You know how it is, blah, blah, blah. And of course he gets a lot of, I don't know if he gets play, but he probably gets a lot of bank, or he was pointing out how much his YouTube following increased and all that kind of stuff. Is sticking consistent with the incorrect message. Why would he be inconsistent? Why would he be consistent with the incorrect message? Because it pays. And you got to understand that there's a role that money plays in society. Whether you like it or not, whether you were taught to dislike it or not, whether you read the Bible and you were told like blah, 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 blah. There's a role that money plays in a society. We are humans. And we are humans that live in a society that requires money to survive. We are stupid for that reason. The dogs are calling us stupid. The wolves are calling us stupid. The gorillas are calling us stupid. They say, what, you pay for your existence? You're stupid. Regardless, you do it. You got to. You got to. And so because you have to find a way to find money. And here's the thing about our people, because a lot of us do not own capital, and I shouldn't go too quickly, but because a lot of us do not own capital, a lot of us must find ways to get money. And of course I tell people there's 3 ways to get money. You either steal it, you're either gifted it, or you buy it, i.e. you sell some sort of good, service, information, whatever, you sell something. And so a lot of people, what they're going to do is they're going to sell you a story about how bad black men are, how bad black people are, how stupid black people are, how so on and so forth. And then that's when you pay for it, and that's why they go for it. Now, whereas a black man could say, hey, you know what, you guys are great, you guys are good, you guys are excellent. And then you say, you know what, I ain't going to give you damn shit. So then the next man, again, that man can stay consistent. I can stay consistent because, again, I'm not hurting for money. I'm okay. Right? And I know I shouldn't tell you that, but I'll tell you that I like telling the truth. I could afford to. A lot of people can't. You know, when you go to the hood and you tell a brother, hey, man, why are you selling drugs? You know that drugs, so on and so forth. I can't afford to not sell drugs, stupid. You tell a woman, hey, why are you selling your body? You know, your body's a temple and blah, blah, blah. I can't afford not to sell my body, stupid. If I could afford not to, I wouldn't do it. I know it's bad. Hey, why are you chasing down that 15-year-old boy? You know that 15-year-old boy needs to blah, blah, blah. I can't afford not to, because if I do not chase down this 15-year-old boy and take his damn lunch money, I won't have any lunch. He'll have lunch after I take his lunch money, and I don't even give a fuck if he does, honestly. But he'll have lunch after I take his lunch money. What lunch am I going to get? My mama's strung up. If my mama wasn't strung up and people actually took me in, then I wouldn't be doing this shit. But you don't take me in. You don't put no social services. So what do you think I'm going to be doing? Sitting down in my room starving to death? Just so you could say, oh yeah, look how good black folk behave. Sorry to call y'all stupid. I might have been channeling my Maddox. Anyway, of course, you know, ironically, we're being insulting. So, what are we talking about? So that's yeah. But anyway, so Malcolm X could have been confused. Was perceived as confused during his lifetime. Again, this is not me. This is Alex Haley. Perceived as confused. And again, he was actually pushing the cult. He was this other man was actually sleeping with his woman. Not Betty, but his woman before that. And they were pushing that colorism bullshit. But of course, like Elijah, like Dr. Ben was saying, that's what they liked. That's what black Americans like. I was just on Twitter the other day, and I tell you can't even believe what this was. I don't want to go through my Twitter, honestly, but I was just on Twitter. Let me see if I could. I don't want to. I hate pulling up stuff on like while people can see it. Let's see if this. All right. Hold on. Let's just go. Didn't load. You don't want nothing to load in case something happens. Look at this. This is like. So I had to tell this guy. Now look at this. This is the weirdest thing. Now this is a really weird thing. Look at this. Bitch, you look like a baked cookie in the oven on 375 for 30 minutes. He's making fun of this woman. And she fine as like, what kind of, and I guess the insult here is that she is dark skinned. But she's fine as fuck. But again, this is a black. I don't want to just say it's Americans because it's not just Americans. But this is a black American. This is a black man. This woman is gorgeous. Especially in this picture she took. Now, I don't know. Like again, maybe she might look. It's just weird. It's just weird. It's just weird that somebody would insult a woman that looks this good on her looks. Now you could say, hey girl, you don't seem that bright. I don't want to click her thing because you never know if things might show up. But you might say, girl, you're not that bright, or girl, you're not good at quantum mechanics. You could probably say that, but you cannot tell this woman that she's not gorgeous. But for some reason there are people who can. Or people who can rationalize a way that this woman is not gorgeous. Now, of course, that probably comes from a hatred of Africa. That comes from something. But my point is, It don't make no damn sense. But this was actually what the Nation of Islam, this was the time the Nation of Islam was on. Now, I probably should look up the other link. Let me see if I could. I think it was like Afro Styles or something like that. Let me see. Bitter Medicine Podcast here. He says, I don't agree with that at all. Some people just choose the lowest activities. I mean, yeah. I mean, look. I mean, yeah, there are some bad people. I'm not going to say there's no bad people. I'm not going to say there's no bad people. But a lot of people, like a lot of things that we do are economic. You know? Now, White Boy gives us an opportunity to, like, kind of like just this guy 2 seconds ago, where we were talking about, you know, why in the world is he insulting this black woman? Like, you could easily say, look, there's no economic value for insulting this black woman. You know, there's no economic, you know, there's nothing on, like, you're not getting paid on Twitter. I mean, now maybe he might generate more content, I don't know, but you're not really getting paid on Twitter to hate a black woman, like hate a beautiful woman. I'm trying to look up this website. I think it was Afro Style, but I can't find it right now. So Elijah Mahan, Kinky here. So yeah, I mean, again, what people choose, like a lot of people, like I said, I'm writing this book, so I have to acknowledge that a lot of black people don't make good choices. They're not going to make good choices. You know? Because my book is about choices and good choices. And if I thought that black people automatically made good choices, I wouldn't be writing a book. You know? I would just tell you, seek, you know, just make good choices. So yeah, I mean, there's two parts to it. You know? You like a lot of us exist. How do you say it? I guess the way how you say it is this. A lot of us will, like, we have the luxury to make choices, and some people don't. You know? Oh, Brother McCarty. Oh, just some sister. I don't know. I mean, she got a Twitter. She brother's like, what's her at? Her at is at Miss Everywhere JG. She's a model with 42,000 followers. The point was that some dude made fun of her when she's gorgeous. He was like, "You're too dark," which was like, you know, just a little bizarre. Like it's just a little bizarre because it's like, why would anybody make fun of this lady? So she's on the side. You can see NY Miss Everywhere G. But again, I don't know what kind of content she creates. You know what I'm saying? So I can't click on her profile and pick up other pictures because, you know, I'm you know, y'all gonna end up, you know, thinking this is another website. You know what I'm saying? That X means something. But yeah. I mean, as far as what Bitter Medicine is saying, of course, you know, again, you know, I tell people this. I go by a probabilistic standpoint, not a deterministic standpoint. Okay? I go by a probabilistic standpoint, right? I tell, like, this is the lesson that I want people to understand about science. You know how sometimes y'all boy, matter of fact, you know, your boy Erzuli would be like, hey, you know, science, blah, blah, science is theory. Yeah, a lot of sciences are theory, but the ones that aren't are what we call laws. And so I had a professor when I was in college who taught thermodynamics. And he was like, you know what? Thermodynamics is the only real science, right? And it was his favorite, and it became my favorite too. And the reason being is because it's not a theory. It's a law. It's the law of thermodynamics. And the reason why it's a law is because it's statistical mechanics. It's saying that the particles in your house are moving at a statistical rate. Okay? They are moving statistically, not probabilistically, not deterministically. And a lot of people have trouble with fathoming, because a lot of our mentality is deterministic. So what Bitter Medicine was saying to me was, hey man, look, that's not deterministic, right? And it's like, yeah, nothing is deterministic. The whole world is statistic, down to the quantum level. And this is what Einstein had a problem with when he was like, God doesn't play dice with the universe. Right now, there's no, I don't appeal to no gods or anything. But what I'm saying is that he's saying, hey, why are these quantum particles moving at a probabilistically instead of deterministically? Why is it that you cannot know something's position and velocity until you measure it? And before that, it only has a probabilistic range, because that's how the world is. All of us are behaving statistically. Like I tell people, realistically, you probably won't get hit by lightning, but people get hit by lightning, which is just so statistically improbable because, lightning goes like blah, blah, blah. But people get hit by lightning. Not all of them a deterministic thing. You're not born to die by a lightning strike. You're not born to get hit by a lightning. Nobody has it written down previously that you're going to get hit by lightning, but you can get hit by lightning. So we go by a probabilistic standpoint. So absolutely, people can choose so on and so forth. Yeah, of course, there could be bad seeds. Absolutely, but when you give them but that's why you go by the probabilistic standpoint, which is, well, okay, what are the conditions, right, that would evoke the worst behavior, and then if you put it on them, you get it. And this is where science comes into play. And of course, Bitter Medicine's a scientist, so I'm just really generalizing for the rest of us, right? So Brother McCarthy says, I don't talk to women online, but this woman is absolutely beautiful. Yeah, she's gorgeous. I mean, she's gorgeous. I mean, she might be young, I don't know, but she's gorgeous, But of course, that's how black is. Black don't crack. You sometimes think these sisters is young and then they like 40, 50, 50 years old. You know what I'm saying? Like, no. But she look kind of young for me, but maybe, I don't know. If she tell me she's, whatever. Like if she's celibate, I'll buy a bit. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if she old, enough. Anyway, but so actually, I think that's an interesting, because what we talking about science. I had this article on my website, right? And this is actually really, really interesting, because this I tell you, because when I tell you guys, like I said, I'm writing this new book. We're talking about science. I'm differentiating between knowledge and science. Science is statistics, probability. Knowledge is information. Okay? When you do science, you're talking about something that's probabilistic, right? You're testing probability. And so this is one of my favorite articles. Not really, but it's one of the good articles in the Pro-Black Compendium. So a lot of the Pro-Black Compendium, one of the inspirations for the Pro-Black Compendium was that I had all these articles, and some brother told me, why don't I put it in the book and sell it? And he thought I would make a lot of money. I did not, but it is what it is. It's not like I had to do that much more work. So one of the articles was of the Hood, I think. Is it the Hood? No. Projects, yeah. So human projects, housing projects, human experimental self-determination, so on and so forth, right? So this is one of those scientific conversations. Look at this. I want y'all to, again, a little bit off topic, but this is one of the most 40 studies that change psychology, right? One of them is Calhoun's. I think Dr. Amos Wilson talks about Skinner's experiment. I'm talking about Calhoun's experiment. Calhoun's experiment was population density and social pathology. Okay? So he, in 1962, mark this number. He says, look here. We put mice in high-rise buildings. Okay? We put mice in high-rise buildings. And this is what we observed. When we put rats in high-rise buildings, right? They had unlimited food, but limited space. Observations made of rats which were supplied with, and this is not his conclusion, this is somebody concluding, like giving a summary on his work, right? But he does a paper. Observations made of rats which were supplied with unlimited food but limited space in high rises, no less, that's my comment, showed that dominant males, sorry, you guys might remember to read it, dominant males became aggressive, some moving in groups, attacking females and the young. Mating behaviors were disrupted. Some became exclusively homosexual. Others became pansexual and hypersexual, attempting to mount any rat they encountered. Mothers neglected their infants, first failing to construct proper nests and then carelessly abandoning and even attacking their pups. In certain sections of the pens, infant mortality rose as high as 96%, the dead cannibalized by adults. Infant mortality rose. You understand what I'm saying to you? Subordinate animals withdrew psychologically. Oh, I hate being a rat. I don't like being a rat. I hate rats. Right? Withdrew psychologically, surviving in a physical sense, but at an immense psychological cost. They were the majority in the late phases of growth, existing as a vacant, huddled mass in the center of the pens. Unable to breed, the population plummeted and did not recover. The crowded rodents had lost the ability to coexist harmoniously. So before this experiment, they were living good, all that kind of stuff. Even after the population's numbers once again fell to low levels, okay, genocide, at a certain density, they had ceased to act like rats and mice, and the change was permanent. Okay? So, and again, I want people to understand, you go to the Housing Act of 1968. So this is a huge experiment. Housing Act of 1968, because white folk ain't shit, right? Prohibited the use of high-rise developments for families with children. The Housing Act of 1968 prohibited the use of those projects, the project buildings that we all associate with black folk. The Housing Act prohibited the use of high-rise developments for families with children. Where'd you grow up? Now, maybe not you. Where'd you grow up? The real legislation and the law, said it gave white people a means out and to live in the suburbs, right? But I want y'all to understand. Again, you guys can read this link, this paper, either in the Pro Black Companion or if you pause, I don't know. But you can look it on the website. Was it really this long? I don't remember it being this long. But I'm like, I guess all the good parts is in the front. I don't know. It's front loaded, but I want y'all to realize, and I know y'all like, wait a second, Oni, shut the fuck up. There's no Housing Act of 1968 that prohibited the use of apartment buildings. Let's look it up. So we're gonna have to look up. I don't know how you can find it. Let's see if this might be it. Nah, well, this is not the text. So it's hard to. Civil Rights Act of 1968. What was the Housing Act? Is it Fair Housing Act? Is that it? This is a Britannia article. So I gotta figure out how to find the text. But basically, is this it? Maybe this is it. No. It might be. Let's see. It's obviously not the text. But maybe it could quote the text. Yeah, I can't. Persons with disabilities and families with children. Yeah. Congress wanted to protect persons with families with children. Families with children are denied housing despite their ability to pay. Right? So, I mean, you guys, I don't know how to... I'd have to... I hate when I'm like, yo, I'm going to pull up evidence, but you know how it is. Maybe this is it. As amended. Fair housing. Okay. Children. Let's look up children. Okay, it's not the search. I don't know if the search is working. Okay, search is working. Child. I don't know. Yeah, it's a little. So I probably have to like scroll through or some shit, which is crappy. Is this it? Is this even it though? But you guys get what I'm saying. So yeah. I mean, like to Koku's point, right? Absolutely. Title 8. Absolutely. Things like you can have bad seeds, but that's the thing about probability. And the thing about, now this is not a real quote from African people, so take this with a grain of salt, right? This used to be one of my favorite quotes until somebody pointed out that these are not real quotes by African people. And I mean, it does tell you that they're not real quotes. It says that it's, some white boy made them up, but it's still one of my favorite for a long time. So let me see, what did he say? Compliment, right? It says, look, a phenomenon always arises from the interaction of complementarity, right? Now again, remember, this is not a black person, so don't take it with a grain of salt. If you want, this is a white person who went to Egypt and studied Egypt and was like, these are some of the things that the Egyptians seem to believe, okay? But it's not a black quote. He says, a phenomenon always arises from the interaction of complementarity. If you want something, look for the complement that will elicit it. Set causes Horus, Horus redeems Set. So basically, it goes like this. If you want in mice, okay? If you want in mice, and I know somebody probably said, did you forget about finding the quote? If you guys can find the quote, I can't. It's a little harder to do that kind of stuff online, right? So the thing is this: if you want in mice to make men more dominant, men more homosexual, men more pansexual, women to neglect their children, women to so on and so forth. If you want that to happen, right? Give the mice unlimited food and limited space. Okay? Give them unlimited food and limited space. And these sort of behaviorisms would come out more. Now, that's not to say that some mice wouldn't already do some of that dumb shit. Some of them. Right? And that's not to say that any mice would do that shit without this. All it's saying is that if you give these certain conditions, even those who wouldn't do this stuff may end up doing this stuff. So absolutely, like Koku said, there definitely would be mice if you give them, the right, limited food and limited space, or limited food and a lot of space, right? There might be mice who, form gangs. Because these are gangs. There might be mice who form gangs. Okay? But it also works in the other direction. That something good might become bad if given a bad environment. And again, it's might, probably. And that's what I'm more so saying. Is that, yeah, absolutely. They're absolutely bad. It's like, guys, he gets to become, 6'5" and he's 400 pounds of muscles. Maybe he's gonna start kicking ass and taking names. They call them the brutes. He might be a brute, maybe. But also he might, become a football player, and it's all good. It's all good what you do with the brutes. Anyway, that's let me see if there's any comments. Jordan Hammock says, don't block my tech. Okay? I'm not sure what you mean, Jordan. But I don't know what that means. But let's damn it. You see how this thing got, I hate when you go on this page. I was listening to Tupac and I don't know. I don't like, sometimes the YouTube chat would, like sometimes the YouTube previews would be like, yo, look at this like let's say you look at a black woman's nyash or something, because somebody sent you a link. I remember one time this brother was sent me a link, and that kind of stuff. But then it might just show you some white woman on the side, and you just like, oh, hold on a second. You don't want people thinking that you checking out crackers on your off time, because that's not what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go to the Book of Power. So, like I said, in the Book of Power, I had to include this, right? So this is the quote that we heard. We had to fight many of the people with words because they had the economy against them. In the hands of Eurasians who fed and clothed them. Now, you see I say Eurasians, right? Instead of white people or Europeans, I say Eurasians, right? Who fed and clothed them. People would ask all the time, are you going to pay my rent? Are you going to feed me? And they would go and decide with those who held their rent. Now, again, this is what I'm saying about the conditions. Probabilistically. Because, again, a lot of us, the white boy pays our rent and he feeds us or whatever, and we still like, fuck you, cracker. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us. But a lot of people also, I mean, for what it's worth, they have some sense. They got a different sense. They're not as convinced, they're not as convicted, they're not as willing to lose everything. Okay? Like me, I'm okay with that. I actually thought I would have died after I published this book. And I was okay with that. It would have sucked for my son, obviously. It would have probably sucked for y'all. I probably would have never met Brother Bakari. Brother probably would have never heard of me. Because, I would have just died. Whatever. Right? But, I'd have lost the last 5 years or some shit. Because I think I wrote this book in 2019, if I'm not mistaken. So I would have lost the last 5 years. Notwithstanding, I'm okay with that. You understand? A lot of people not. So I can't really hold it against people if they're not okay with that. Now, Malcolm X had started to read after interacting with Elijah Muhammad while still in jail, but unfortunately he referred to himself as an Asiatic black man. That's what Elijah taught. So black men like me were put aside. You had to be light-skinned like Malcolm or Elijah. See, Malcolm's wife was a rarity. She was dark-skinned. She wasn't the first choice of Malcolm's. Malcolm married her as a substitute. She wasn't who he carried to Elijah for approval. When Elijah's son told Malcolm that one of the women Elijah got pregnant was one that Malcolm sent for his approval, when Elijah was supposed to get her ready for the spiritual ministry, I say spiritual, I don't call it spiritual, Malcolm was mad. So again, the reason why I read that was to read the preface. So I said, look, Dr. Ben-Jochnnan, as Malcolm was mad with Elijah Muhammad, right? Gossip is poor. As Baba approached old age, he continued to engage in gossip. Okay? I don't like gossip either. Normally, these would and should be ignored, but in this instant, two interesting tidbits slip out. The first on people deciding with who held their rent touches on the program that I'm talking about. So, a lot of the Book of Power is a program. It's programmatic. Saying, do boko waset nakeru for power. Okay? That's good. That is, we need the Oncobia to start holding rent and land, and Oncobia bachelors to hold industries to be attractable. So I tell black people, look, have an industry. Hold people's rent. Like I said, the guy watching my house for freaking $2. Now, granted, if he's watching my house for $2 and I tell you guys who he is, you guys can easily pay him, $10, right? So I don't tell you who he is. But the point is that people are working for a little bit, and you could get them to do some serious things for you. They're working for a little bit. You could get them to do serious things for you. And I reinforce that the more I'm in America, right? So I say, look, the more I go to Africa. So I say, this also touches on the bastard problem and the rape discussion Baba introduces as our enemies are economically able. You understand? Bastard problem and the rape discussion. Oh, he talks about rape earlier. He says when a white man, when the white man used to, like how a lot of black folk got light skin, and he's like, that was rape, right? But the trouble is this: a lot of women are looking for economically able men. Women are supposed to be hypergamous. That's what they call it. And unfortunately, if you're not putting it, now again, like I said, for $5 a day, you can have a good wife. If you wanted to. I mean, that might be a little bit of money, but still. I mean, it's probably a little too little, but you get what I'm saying. You could have even a good wife for $5 for $5 a day in Africa. And I'm not saying you give her $5 every day. I'm saying you could give her an allowance. Be like, here, here's what it is for the month. Don't bother me. And of course, at $5 a day, what's that? For a month, like $150, right? Yeah. You don't have to limit yourself to $150. Okay? You can just give her $150 and be like, here, $300K. Yeah, $300K, yeah, that's good. It's good money. That's good money for the year in Tanzania. No, sorry, not for the year, for the month in Tanzania. You give her $300K, you say, hey, just make sure you get her some food, clothing, you pay for all the big stuff. She's good. She's happy. She'll do what you ask. You'll be a happy man, she'll be a happy woman. And you don't got to stop at $300K. You could take on vacations. You could do whatever. At $5 a day. You don't have to stop. You don't have to stop at that. No, sorry. Did I say $5 a day was? Sorry, my fault. $10 a day, right? Is no, that's $300. Sorry. Don't worry about it. So anyway, yeah, $150 is yeah. So anyway, what I'm saying is that she's supposed to be hypergamous. The trouble with us is that because we got so economically disabled, we think she shouldn't be hypergamous. You understand? It's the economy. Or said in the words of Bill Gates, no, not Bill Gates, Bill Clinton, it's the economy, stupid. That was his campaign. Our own culture shifts because this white boy don't pay us enough. So then all of a sudden we telling women, hey man, you gotta hold your own weight. You gotta pull yourself up. You gotta, so forth. And like I said, you could go to Africa if you could somehow manage $5 a day. Now granted, there's not many job opportunities for your black ass in Africa. Not many job opportunities for me. Because again, this dude wouldn't be working at my house for $2 a day if he could get a job for $5 a day. Right? He wouldn't be doing that. Okay? But because it's difficult, basically employers are needed. See, you got employers when you're in the West. And so you looking at other people who don't got employers like, wow, why are you working for so little? You work for little too. You know what I'm saying? And you just don't realize it. If your woman's working with you, then you working for little. Duh. It's like Ukraine. When the Ukrainians are sending women on the front line, that just means that the men running out. Duh. And work is a front line too. But again, a lot of what I say is against the conditioning that we had. So a lot of us are going to be like, oh, well, I don't. A lot of us were against the conditioning we had. We were conditioned to think as we are thinking now. We were conditioned. And I'm not saying there's anything, and I'm not making any judgment. Again, I don't make judgment. I'm just pointing out, yeah, well, if you were rich, you might not even send your woman to work. And you might be like, well, there's some women who want to work. Absolutely. And there's a lot of women who don't. There's a lot of men who don't want to work. I'm one of the men who don't want to work. You know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck you think? A lot of men who don't want to work. A lot of women don't want to work. What's wrong with you? And you get her and you tell her, hey, look, if you're not working, well, you clean up the house and you do this and, you give me that booty every time I want that booty. She's like, fine. A lot of women will say, fine. Now, some women want to work. Absolutely. And guess what? You tell her to clean and she's going to say no. Well, duh. She want to work. You know what I'm saying? Like, go back to my physics thing. If she wants to be an astrophysicist and solve all the problems in the universe, that's fine. You don't got to marry her. Sorry, I kind of went off the topic. Let me see. Sometimes I just be going off topic. I'm looking at the comments. Brother still said, don't block my tech. But shout out to Jordan for coming through. Shout out to Smiling Aardvark too. I mean, obviously shout out to the fam that's been here, Revolutionary Matron, Brother Bakari, and Bit of Medicine. But, shout out to the two new folk too. I appreciate y'all for stopping by, for engaging us today. But let's keep going. So he says, look, so yeah, you gotta hold people's rent. Like, and that's the men. You gotta hold the men's rent. You gotta hold the women's rent. But you gotta hold the men's rent. Yeah. If you want men to start doing shit for you, you gotta pay them. That's what I have to tell people. It's like, look, man, look. If I want anything going on in Africa, I better start paying folk. That's why I need money. Like I said, if you guys give me cash app, besides the food, I might have to get groceries. But besides some groceries, I'm putting that money to work. You understand? That's what you're supposed to do. And if you're not doing that, then okay, whatever it is that you want to happen in this world, it might not happen. And you just got to suck it up because you were not willing to pay for it. We could touch on our ancestor. Was it Martin Delaney or was it John Edward Bruce? One of them who said, that we have to be willing to pay for things. Let me see if I could. Even freaking Frederick Douglass said, well, I'll show you guys some of these things. Yeah, it's the Frederick Douglass quote right here too. So I could show you guys. And I know it's a little bit, I'm jumping all over the place, but just bear with me. So Kelly Miller, and I did a poem on it too, on both of these quotes actually. Kelly Miller said, "The Negro pays for what he wants and begs for what he needs." Oh, and sorry, the full quote is, "He pays for what he wants and begs for what he needs from the white man." He's like, African Americans, this is what the Negro meant back in the day. African Americans pay for what they want and beg for what they need from the white man. But here's Frederick Douglass. Men may not get all they pay for in this world, but they must certainly pay for all they get. Again, if you want something in this world, you gotta pay. It's not me telling you, and this was the quote that I was looking for, Martin Delaney. Whatever liberty is worth, and actually this is a cool quote from Frederick Douglass, so we can read this too. Again, this is just a bunch of collected quotes I just gathered. I'll tell you guys why. I'll tell you a little bit of distraction. But I had an elder, African American elder, beautiful woman. Really. I almost said I loved her, but it's kind of pause, right? Although it's a woman, but still it's an old woman. I think she passed. I don't know. I haven't checked. But, because I don't want to. I don't want to know that she passed. But anyway, she, at one point she gave me a quote book, like African American quotes and stuff. And it was so good. Like a lot of these early quotes are some of the quotes that I got from this African American's quote book. That was pretty good. But anyway, so eventually I started collecting my own quotes. And if y'all know, the Pro Black Compendium has a whole bunch of quotes. But, one of these quotes was, I woke up each morning and say, no, not one of those quotes. This is just a quote from Frederick Douglass. I'm a man. Whereas Delaney wakes up and says, thank Amon, I'm a black man. So that's Frederick Douglass speaking of Martin Delaney. But anyway, this is the quote that I like from one of my favorite fiction books. So again, I wrote my top three, obviously Martin Delaney's Blake or the Huts of America, which I told Brother McCarr you should read. So hopefully he can read that sometime. Y'all can hit up his Cash App and tell him to get the book. But then there's also From Superman to Man by can't remember his name, but he's this Jamaican guy. He's pretty cool. And then of course there's also my book, Zubiri and the Maroons of Ma, right? But here's Martin Delaney. He says, whatever liberty is worth to the whites, it is worth to the blacks. Therefore, whatever it costs the whites to obtain it, the blacks would be really willing and ready to pay if they desire it. So you could say whatever you want about this white boy. You know what this white boy does that you don't? He employs his own people. Okay? And again, I'm not the only one saying this. In fact, one of those Malcolm X quotes that I decided not to go over. Again, you just have everything here, so you might as well. But was this? So the white man, knowing that here in America, all the Negro has done, I hate to say it, but it's the truth, all you and I have done is build churches and let the white man build factories. You and I build churches and let the white man build schools. You and I build churches and let the white man build up everything for himself. Then after you build the church, you have to go and beg the white man for a job and beg the white man for some education. Am I right or wrong? Do you know what I mean? It's too bad, but it's true. What he said, and this is what I'm trying to tell you, you could go to Africa. You could build a factory and you could build a school. Very cheaply. Very, very cheaply. In America, a factory, you probably can't afford it. Okay? Because you're now paying black Americans, if you have black American workers, you're paying them $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a year. Unless your factory is pulling in that kind of money, you can't afford it. Okay? You can't afford your employees. And even the white man, right? Again, you go back to the Martin Delaney quote, right? Even the white man is saying, you know what? It might be too expensive for me to hire black men. It might be too expensive for me to hire white men. It's more affordable for me to hire Indians. It's more affordable for me to hire Nigerians. It's more affordable for me to hire Chinese people. Whatever liberty is worth to the whites. See, white man saying I don't even need to hire my own damn people. Liberty is worth to the whites. It is worth to the blacks. Therefore, whatever it costs the whites to obtain it, the blacks would be willing and ready to pay if they desire it. Listen to what I said. Listen, that's not what I said, sorry. Listen to what your own ancestor said. Martin Delaney, honestly, one of the best African Americans ever. Okay? One of the best African Americans ever. Okay? I know I gotta apologize to some of y'all because I know some of y'all think y'all the best. And I'm not saying y'all not. I'm just saying that Martin Delaney was one of the best. Okay? Looking at the comments, still no comments, still good. So we're gonna go over, economically able. The others, however, deal with Malcolm X and Elijah Muhammad. So the other part of the quote. The record has to stand that Malcolm X was for 12 years. 12 years. Now remember what Malcolm X said. Again, we go back to, I don't have to go back to the quote, but you go back to the quote. He told you, he said, Elijah Muhammad was just fucking capping. He was just capping. He was just trying to take advantage of gullible people. He's never said anything pro-African. Okay? Oh, I have the quote in front of here. Malcolm X said that, not me. But notwithstanding that, for 12 years, he was promoting it. And telling people, hey, you know what? Elijah Muhammad could speak to a God. Type shit. An active promoter of an anti-African, a-spiritualist, Eurasianist sex cult. That's what the Nation of Islam was. He himself admits in 1964, WP, I call WP, it means without power. Oh no, it means without Pan-Africanism, I think. Anyway, I shall never rest until I have undone the harm I did to so many well-meaning, innocent Africans. And of course, he said black people. And he says, I totally reject Elijah Muhammad's racist philosophy, which he labeled as essential Eurasian spiritualism. Islam, that was the original quote, you guys saw it. To fool and misuse gullible people. He died shortly after, though, and the damage persists. Malcolm X dies shortly after. He's killed shortly after, and the damage of the Nation of Islam persists. It was a damn a-spiritualist, anti-Africanist, pro-Eurasian sex cult. And back in 1960, he personally oversaw an actual KKK and NOI alliance. Now, granted, look, I'll tell you guys the truth. And I have that paper over here. If you guys want to read it, like I said, this website been up for a minute. So if you guys wanted to read that, again, I can't fault them too much for that. Okay? I can't fault them too much for the KKK meeting. Okay? Let me see if I can find it. I'm not saying that I would meet the KKK, obviously. You know what I mean? But I know people are saying that Marcus Garvey met them too. And again, don't try to put it on Malcolm X and be like, oh, well, you see, he's from another country. No, it was Jeremiah X. Okay, Jeremiah X, and it was at the behest of the NOI leadership, and the reason why they were meeting the Klan is because look, I want y'all to understand, because this is why I tell people all the time, violence is important. Violence is a necessary tool. I don't want to say necessary tool, but it's a part of the human experience, whether you know it or not. Let me see. Afro Jam says he never got the chance to undo the damage. Yeah, exactly. Whether you know it or not, violence is a part of our life. And so what happened, and the reason why the NOI alliance happened, and I'm not saying I disagree with this, okay? It was, he neglects to mention how prior to the meeting, the KKK would abuse the NOI's operations in the South. So the NOI had land. You get your land and you whatever. For instance, in Pell County, Alabama, 63 of the NOI's prized dairy cattle were either shot or poisoned by the KKK, and fully 1/10 of St. Clair's County assembled at a meeting vowing to oust the NOI, eventually encircling the Muslims and arbitrarily jailing them. So the alliance with the KKK was such that you pretty much have to understand that the world is really controlled by force. It's not even controlled by laws. Laws only exist so that people don't have to use force. You know what I mean? Like somebody says, hey man, don't touch children, right? That's a law. And then you go and touch a child, then they're going to use violence. Some type of violence against you. But they tell you the law so that you don't you don't touch the child. You understand? But the world is controlled by the child. And the thing is this, anybody can implement violence. You know, there's just sometimes there's going to be a higher law that says, hey, a second, I don't like the violence you're doing. And this is why I don't like America. Because here you have, he says, look, we go to the South, and not we, but, Nation of Islam goes to the South, gets land, let's say, for black people. That doesn't mean a damn thing. And we know this example today where we see black farmers getting harassed by, blah, 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 right? It doesn't mean a damn thing. You got 63 cattle, that could be 63 dead cattle. Who's protecting you? Who's protecting you? Even I'm telling you guys, look, I want to buy. I told you guys, I said, look, I want to buy. I might start a video game thing when I go to Tanzania. But I'm like, you know what? People could steal your fucking shit too. They could steal your game console, right? And the thing is this. But see, inside of Tanzania, you could, if you know who they are, you could probably sue them. Or in Tanzania, you could beat their ass, obviously. In some parts of Africa, man. I mean, I told this dude. I mean, I said, like, my brother Gnostic. He was like, why don't you just get a pistol? And I was like, look, I'm not too comfortable. I don't know if I want to shoot somebody over a PS5 I don't play. But the truth is that, yeah, you could shoot somebody over a PS5 you don't play. In some parts of Africa, if somebody saw somebody trying to take I don't drive, so it's obvious, but I guess the rear view mirror from not the rear view mirror, the one on the side of the car, right? If somebody was taking that off, somebody caught them, a passerby might beat them up, and the whole community might end up beating up so bad that they start burning the person alive for stealing. A lot of people don't like these. Now, I don't think a part of a car is worth a person's life. I don't think PS5 is worth a person's life, right? But of course, it's not for me to. I think that because again, I don't give a shit. I'm not hurting for cash. But some people might. Yeah, you kill somebody. You kill 63 of somebody's cows. They might try to kill you. But of course, if you severely outnumbered, right? If you severely outnumbered, then you already have a problem. Because sure, you could try to kill one of them, you're dead in the water. You join the cows. That might be meaningful to you, but for me, so on and so forth, right? So, my Agabus praises Muslim was the best in America. He either forgot about other groups. What am I talking about? Hey, this was the NOI as told by Malcolm X, so on and so forth. So this is what it was. And like I said, you guys could just go to my website. If you guys didn't know, I have a website, AfricanBloodSiblings.wordpress.com, and you could go to the newsletter archive. It stopped being updated, but just look up NOI KKK Alliance, and you could read the whole thing for yourself. But like I said, I'm not saying I completely disagree with an alliance coming up for that reason. But that's also why I keep telling y'all, you're asking for trouble. When you're in America, because the bigger you get, the more you're gonna interact with the other big cats. See, the big cats in Africa might be pro-African, but the big cats in America are pro-American, and so if you're anti-American, you got a problem. You understand? And if you're not anti-American, you got another problem. You know what I'm saying? You got another problem. So that's why I say you got a problem when you're in America. Afrojab says much of the segregation laws were de jure. Yeah, de jure. And that's the thing. A lot of people, a lot of people don't process all that. Now we're going to what was it? Oh, we're going to go back to the PDF. But y'all see you see the quality of the book. It has the quotes, random quotes, but then it also has these long good description. So he says, look, actual KKK and NY alliance. Contrast this to Garvey's threat directly to whites in the KKK. Oh yeah, you guys, if you don't know about Garvey's threat, I think you could hear the video. It's such a good audio. Then we could even end with that. Basically, he's like, look, if the Klan wants to come and get at me, you know, I know a couple of trees. We could have a party. We can party. You want to come at me? We can party. So it's pretty good. Carlos A. Cooks wouldn't even work with Malcolm. Malcolm had suggested they did by asking, why can't we get together? And I already read this, so. And Cooks responded, we'll get together when you get a program. Still, Malcolm is esteemed despite for years knowing that he was promoting Elijah Muhammad's anti-African, white cooperatists, a-spiritualist, Eurasianist sex cult, and knowing Elijah Muhammad, despite his old age and marriage, impregnated at least 9 teenage girls. Who knows how many he sexually exploited or solicited, teenage and otherwise. Okay? A man of God. Old ass man. Pervert. Okay? Fucking kids. Teenagers. Compared to his age. Particularly. Because he's probably, 80 years old. Maybe 60 years old. I don't know. And again, I think, and that's why I say, one of the things I like about African spirituality, or, ancient African spirituality at least, was a lot of it was idealistic and scientific. And it was telling you, hey, look, the ideal relationship between a man and a woman of a similar age. Okay? Of similar age. Nothing wrong. I mean, obviously, if you're a teenager and you're involved with another teenager, that's fine. This is an old damn man. And he's exploiting people off of their ignorance, their religious ignorance. Actually, this brother sent me this video. I didn't get to look too much into it. Of this Nigerian who's who was able to trick white folk into a sort of slavery off of this religious nonsense. You cannot become so unscientific, so religious that you become stupid. If there's a value in religion, I don't know it, but if there's a value in religion, then keep up with that value. Do not think there are men out there who are talking to celestial beings. It's not true. It's not true. But if you think a dude is doing that, that's fine, or a woman doing that, that's fine. You think that, okay? Don't then fuck them. Okay? Just don't. I'd say don't even give them damn money. I told them to ask their damn God. Tell them to ask that motherfucking celestial being. This on top of the colorism and the black hatred he promoted. Even highly esteemed people like Amos Wilson promoted Elijah Muhammad as a result of Malcolm's activity. Amos Wilson called him the greatest psychologist we ever had. Despite that, Elijah Muhammad wasn't even a psychologist or an Africanist. Now, again, of course, I'm throwing shade here, right? But anyway, the need for a program and programmatic thought cannot be overstated. Moreover, it's fundamental that we understand the primacy of Medu Nefer, right? Medu Nefer means beautiful words. As the revelation here is that notwithstanding the predatory sex exploitation, the cooperation with the KKK, the marriage infidelity, the financial exploitation of the black community, the contradictory, undisciplined perversion, the anti-black and anti-woman sentiments, and much more, Malcolm X stayed several years faithful to Elijah Muhammad. I'm going to say that again. Because the man had beautiful words, or because realistically Malcolm X might have been very ignorant at the time. Because Malcolm X was very ignorant at the time, he saw a man who was sexually exploiting women, cooperating with the Ku Klux Klan. The Ku Klux Klan, I want you guys to know, I'm not going to say the KKK, the Ku Klux Klan, the motherfuckers who are lynching black men. He was cheating on his own damn wife. He was exploiting the black community. He was undisciplined. He was a pervert. He even raped Malcolm X's wife-to-be, fiance. Okay? And he was anti-black. He never said anything good about Africa. He was anti-woman. All of that. And Malcolm X still stayed faithful for several years. I want to ask you again, if today you saw somebody like Malcolm X, what would you call him? Now, according to Baba, he only broke away because Elijah Muhammad slept with his love interest. And even then, he didn't even denounce Elijah Muhammad thoroughly enough to reverse the views on him. This shows us the danger of the cult mentality. Like I said, at the time I was writing this, some cult was attacking me. This shows us the danger of the cult mentality. The image of Malcolm is a cautionary tale on naivete and the need to disassociate from Ascari. That's what I call traitors. Malcolm X became an icon, and his talking style is repeated by many Africans that followed, but at what cost? At what cost? Let me actually check the comments really quickly, because I know I'm talking about a sensitive subject. He says, but began off as de facto and become de jure by force, then legalized. Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. You know, and the thing is that we got to realize, because this is why I appreciate Marcus Garvey the most. You know, because Marcus Garvey tells you, look, this is the white man's country. Okay? This is the white man's country. So if he wants to kill your cow, he'll kill your damn cow. And unless you can defend yourself, you know what I mean? Unless you could defend yourself, your cow's dead. And there's no recompensation for you. And that's the thing that we have to come to terms with. You know, I think in my next book, and even in this book, the Pro-Black Compendium, the Book of Power, right? Because I talk about Amos Wilson's speech here too. Where Amos Wilson's like, hey, you know, we own this, we own that, we own football, we own this, we own the resources of Africa. Look, you don't own shit if you can't defend it. See, Brother Bakari, he's a shooter. Okay? Brother Bakari says, look, Oni, I want your house. Right? I'll tell him, hey, that's a good, funny joke, man. That's good. If you think if Brother Bakari shoots me in the chest and then walks into my house, then it's not his house? You think it's still my house? And I'm bleeding from the chest? Or I'm dead? You know, the real world is it's kind of like when we talk about South Africa. One of the reasons why I don't really I tell people, look, this white man, he has an interest in dominating Nigeria, Congo, South Africa, and I think it was Egypt or Ethiopia, one of those two, right? Those are some of the most populated countries on the planet. They're very resource rich too, right? In Africa, I mean, right? They're very resource rich too, especially Congo and South Africa, right? And I tell people, look, if you're going to Africa, you probably shouldn't go to those countries, really. You know, those are the states that the white boy is really heavy in, really deep in. You know, Nigeria, especially so on and so forth. But a part of me wants to be like, not include South Africa and be like, yeah, you can go to South Africa. You know, maybe because of the Nash, I don't know, Nash's life, right? But maybe not. But my thing is this: the thing about South Africa is that was a settler colony. But the thing about South Africa is that they're also the majority, so it's okay. But the way how South Africa is established is exactly what I just told you. You know, some white boy comes out of nowhere, Boers or whatever. I don't know if they're Dutch, I can't remember, whatever. But the Boers come out and they say, "This is your house? Okay. Shoot, shoot, shoot. Kill, kill, kill. Whose house is it now?" If you cannot protect something, it's not yours. And the example that I get is from Alton Maddox Jr., where he said in the South, white men would go into your house, go into a black man's house, tell the black man to go outside, have his way with the black man's wife, then the black man would come back inside the house. Alton Maddox would say, look, you can't even get married in America because you can't protect your damn wife. You can't stop a man from getting to your wife. Now, again, in Africa, you could definitely stop a man. And I'm not saying, you know, you could stop every group because, you know, unless you could fight really well, right? But that type of shit, like that shit don't even fly in Africa. You know, shout out to a Bit of Medicine podcast. He was showing this video. I think we all kind of want to see this guy speak a little more. I think his name was like Khalid Dessalines. He had this interesting interview where he was talking about the Bible, and he was like, the Egyptians had morals because even inside of the Bible, there's this accusation that the Pharaoh might have slept with like some dude's wife, maybe Abraham's wife or some shit, or Moses' wife or something. I don't know the book. And Pharaoh was like, whoa, you told me she was your sister. I wouldn't have slept with her if I knew she was your wife. You know what I mean? So as to say that he had dignity and morals to say, no, we don't sleep with people's wives here. And again, like I said, you go to Ptah Htp, that's one of the things that Ptah Htp says. Ptah Htp tells you, don't go to a man's house and sleep with any woman there. If you're a man's guest, do not try to sleep with any woman there. And if you do, he would be right to try to kill you. So you don't try to sleep with his daughter, you don't try to sleep with his wife, you don't try to sleep with his mother. Ptah Htp, oldest book in the world. So as I say, yeah, and in the African world, your wife is your wife. We respect you for that. Now, I'm not saying nobody ever slept with nobody's wife. I'm not saying no husband ever did. I'm not saying none of that. What I'm saying is that in the African world, traditionally, we respect that. But see, in the American world, you're just a piece of damn property. In the European world, you're just a piece of damn property. Dred Scott, you have no rights that a white man is bound to respect. You can't get married. You have no rights that a white man is bound to respect. Now, of course, if you were like my good brother McCarr, if you like that, you could be on that time and you could put some metal behind whatever you're saying. But a lot of people don't do that. A lot of black folk ain't on that time. And we'll leave it at that. K7 says, the black South African have not resolved to deal with Urugu, which is why the land issue hasn't been resolved. Exactly. Shout out to K7. When that brother writes, you read. Okay? When he writes, you read. But that's exactly it. See what the white boy did. And in fact, I have a quote from this Helen Zell. I don't know if you guys know Helen Zell. What the white boy did was that he wrote the Constitution for South Africa. South Africa should not have a constitution that's so inclusive of foreigners. That's stupid. I don't want to use the Brother Bakari example too much, but we go to the Brother Bakari example, right? And you say Brother Bakari comes inside and says, Oni, you know what? I'm taking over your basement. You know what I'm saying? Taking over your basement. Shut the fuck up. I'm taking over your basement. You know? And he's like, I ain't gonna pay you shit or whatever. I don't know. Let's say he pays me. I don't give a shit. But he just basically says, I don't have no choice in the matter. Pulls out a gun and says, look, I'm taking over your basement. He's living in my basement now. Fine. Cool. Guess what? Afterward, when I finally get the guts to be like, all right, man, you gotta get out, right? If he says, okay, no, I say, look, man, you can't be running shit anymore. He's like, all right, fine. Let me write a constitution. And in this constitution, I'm still running shit. That's the damn problem. If I agree to that constitution. White boy should have never wrote the constitution for South Africa. But Jigan says the answer is yes. Yeah, the answer is yes. With Malcolm X, you gotta, cause see, you know how people are. You gotta be careful with their pressures, you know. But like the answer is yes. Afro Jam says Mandela was selected and idolized for a reason. Yep. Because if you don't understand, like again, my next book, I'm gonna take it to an 11. See, I wrote the Book of Power. It's on a 10. I don't know if you guys know, but I be calling white folk hybrids. I be calling mixed people bastards. You know, it was at a 10. Okay. And the next book, I'm gonna take it at 11. I'm gonna take it at an 11. But a lot of us do not understand the science behind why you would take it to an 11. I remember back in the day, I used to ask people, hey, if a white man was a good leader, would you vote for him in an election? And they were like, yes. Black people saying yes. And I was like, no, see, that's a problem because white people shouldn't be running black people, blah, 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 blah. And they were like, no, 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 no. You know, a white person could definitely govern black people. Well, it's black people in Brooklyn. Or I think it was like a high schooler or something, maybe like a kid. Not too sure, but you know, this is the mentality that we are all like. One of the things about the public school system, and this is why you know, even though my kid's not, you know, he doesn't have the best socialization. One thing he doesn't recognize that you recognize is white authority. You understand? The only person my son listens to, which is not good. It's not good. But again, we're in America, so it's okay. The person he listens to is me. Okay? Because I never taught him to listen to white folk. Now, technically, you're supposed to tell your son, hey, listen to these police officers. But he don't really engage with police officers, and he's still only 8 years old. But technically, you're supposed to teach. But that's what you got to realize. The public school system is designed for you to understand that white folk are the authority. Why you learn about the presidency? Why you learn about the government? Why you learn about police officers? Why you learn about laws? Why you learn about that? Because the white man's the authority here. Okay? And again, there's nothing wrong with that if you're in America. But if you're a proud African person, there is something wrong with it. That you recognize a white person as an authority. That's why for me, I'm like, look, I need to get my kid to Africa. For me, I need to get to Africa because I do like authority. I do want somebody to be authority. I want that person to be black like me. That's why I go to Africa, man. Bert McCarthy says, they don't have to respect us today because we only have smoke for each other, especially for our men have smoke for the women. Yeah. You know, the thing is this, in this world, you're supposed to punch down. Like I said, this is symptomatic. It is probabilistic. It is scientific. You pick up the socialist literature from Europe, and you'll see angles talking about white men, right, were abusive to their wives because they were angry with the capitalists. They were angry with their bosses, so they took it out on their wives. Okay? They were angry with their bosses, so they took it out with their wives. He's not talking about black people. He's saying that the conditions are such that it is normal for a man to be angry with his boss and take it out on his wife. So yeah. What? You know, when they say when white folk have a cold, black folk got the flu or something like that. I don't know. You know, white folk got COVID or some shit. I don't know. We get it at 1,000 because we're in the trenches worse than the white boys. So absolutely, we're gonna have smoke for each other, because that's the same thing that this white boy was saying about the you know, proletariat. They got smoke for the proletariat. They're divided. They're racist. They're bigoted. They're this. They're that. They're, you know, blah 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 blah. And they don't want to unite against the capitalists. Now, I'm not saying go unite against the capitalists. I'm not saying that. What I'm telling you is that you could see the same damn symptoms, the same damn parallels in a totally different population. It's got to be systematic. It can't be happenstance. It can't be random. It's not a part of the human condition. It can't be happenstance. I'm mad you said pneumonia. I didn't know pneumonia was bad like that. I'll tell you, my son caught pneumonia in Africa, and I didn't know it was bad. I was just like, okay, we'll just walk it off. All of a sudden, I started looking up. They were like, it might take 3 months to recover. You know, people die of pneumonia. I was like, oh, okay, hold on a second. We taking some medication. You know, we taking some of them pills. But at the time, I didn't know. And you know, my son's mother was a little tight. She was like, you didn't know pneumonia was bad? And I'm like, you know, I don't get sick. But I didn't really, what happened. But the reason why I got sick was I was doing a swimming lesson. Man, I tell you, this swimming lesson was like, I want to say it was like 20K shillings, which is like $7. The dude was teaching me how to swim for like, I want to say 5-6 hours, all for $20 or $10, and it was a good lesson too. But I was in the water for so damn long, I got sick. Anyway, Jagan says true. Robert Sobukwe was the real revolutionary. Yeah, but that's again, like I tell people, war doesn't determine who's right. War determines who's left. At the end of the day, that's why I said you gotta have the force and the power. It don't matter if you're the better one, you're the real one, you're the right one. If you do not control the force, it doesn't matter. Like I said, I go to Africa right now, and somebody could just blow my brains out, and that's it. That's the end of my chapter. Like it don't matter. Do you know what I mean? There are plenty of brilliant people. So many brilliant people. There are so many people who could look at me and be like, well, I don't know if there really is, but there are so many people who could look at me and be like, look at that stupid idiot. Okay? That's fine. The purpose is more so, how do we build a community? How do we build societies that put those intelligent people on the top? And how do we resist white folk who are trying to put their people on the top? How do we put our people on the top? And and that's why I say we got to get capital. Because see, if you got capital, you could, like this is what white people do. They put their money where their mouth is. Okay? Before Trump was elected, there's this guy, I think his name is Norquist. Norquist, you guys look him up. Norquist, I think. He said, well, I think Obama was president. He said, look, what we need is a Republican with working hands. That's it. We just need somebody to sign things that we put in front of him. That's all we need. We need somebody with working digits. That's it. And that's not what I'm saying. That's what he's saying. That's what the Republicans are saying. And that's a good thing. Now we look at it like, oh, that's bad. They don't want a free thinker. They just want somebody who could think. Yeah, sure. You think it's bad, but the reality is this: if you want to implement power, right? Maybe you should want somebody with working digits too, who could sign things too. I'm gonna try to look up the video because it was actually pretty interesting. He was like, all we need is somebody who could hold a pen or something like that. I don't remember what it was. Let me see if I can find it. I'll show you guys the screen for a second. And that's the thing I want y'all to realize about life. It's that realistically, nobody, like if you want something done, pay for it. But here he goes. We just need the president to sign stuff. This is not me. 11 years ago, okay? February 2012, Barack Obama's the president.
We're not auditioning for fearless leader.
We are not auditioning for a fearless leader.
We need a president to tell us what direction to go.
We don't need a president to tell us which direction to go. This is the Republican, American Conservative Union, right?
We know it.
And look, I'm not trying to be Republican or Democrat. I'm saying this is actually smart. This is actually brilliant. This is why they freaking won. Okay? This is smart. Okay? This is how you're supposed to approach Africa, really. We don't even need a fucking intelligent leader. We just need somebody who could sign stuff.
Direction we want to go. We want the Paul Ryan budget, which cuts spending $6 trillion.
We already got it. We already got our intellectual, Paul Ryan. Okay? That's what he said. He's like, we already got our intellectual. He's already, all of our lobbyists already, all of our supporters already support something. We don't need somebody to think for us.
This is very easy. It block grants all the 77 plus welfare systems. It takes all of these unfunded liabilities and makes them fully funded and individually controlled by individuals. It takes spending from 25% of GDP down to 20% in 10 years and then down to 15% in out years. The Republicans in the House have passed 24 plus bills that create...
So he's just explaining it. It's not that important. I should probably skip over it, but you get what I'm saying.
Jobs and opportunity and strip out regulations. We just need a president to sign this stuff.
That's it.
We don't need someone to think it up or design it. We have a House and a Senate. The leadership now for the modern conservative movement for the next 20 years will be coming out of the House and the Senate. So focus on electing the most conservative Republican who can win in each House seat and the most conservative Republican who can win in each Senate seat, and then pick a Republican with enough working digits to handle the pen to become President of the United States.
That's it. I wish this thing didn't show random stuff. Oh, that's the freaking Bible. Yeah. So, look. That's not me. And again, this is not a bad idea. Okay? It's not a bad, I think I remember the first time I heard this, I might have been, at that time, it was 10 years ago, 12 years ago, whatever. You might have been watching the Daily Show or some shit, And they're like, you see how they don't want a smart leader. And look how dumb they are. They don't want smart leaders. They just want somebody who can work a pen. Right? It's brilliant. Say what you will, like that's what Mandela was for these white boys. Somebody who could work a pen. Somebody who could sign the document, sign the Constitution into law. They don't want somebody who could think. And Robert Zabukwe, yeah, absolutely. Robbie the Ball, brilliant guy, absolutely. But guess what? If you're not sitting in the top seat, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Praise his name, absolutely. But if you're not sitting in the top seat, it don't matter. I'll say that. Jagan says, when I train mine to question authority, even mine, and I reap what I saw. Ah, yeah, Jagan. I tell you, they say as soon as kids can talk, as soon as they can talk back. This boy, he said no to me. I'm not saying that he don't, I'm not saying he absolutely listens to me every time. No, of course not. If I tell him go to timeout, he's like, no. And then I'm like, yo, boy. You understand? But even so, you guys get what I'm saying, right? So Brother McCarty says, it's not just the public school system. Black people teach us about white supremacy all the time. They call it white supremacy. Yup. White folk got a cold. We got pneumonia. Yeah. So it's like, white. My thing is this. If you're in America, I shouldn't talk about it, but this brother hit me up. He was from Germany, and some of the stuff he was saying to me, he wrote me something. He was like, and I was like, we got to talk. We got to talk on the phone. But some of the things he was saying was like, hey man, I don't know if black people, I don't know how African people have a place in this world or some shit like that. How do we have a place in this world? And I said to him, look man, you gotta go to Africa. You gotta go to Africa because your being in Germany, okay? Your being in Germany is fucking up your mental. Because nobody in Tanzania, when I went to Tanzania, is saying, I don't know what Tanzania's, like what African people's place in the world is. You wouldn't think that. Because you're in Tanzania. You're supposed to be in Tanzania. You understand? But the more you're in the Western world, the more you're inculcated with the Westernist doctrine. To the point where you imbibe it so deeply. Kind of like what our brother, one of the best books for African Americans is, am I back on my, what screen am I on? I'm on my thing. One of the best books for African Americans is Carter G. Woodson's. Okay? And we could pull it up. I think it was in the collected quotes again. So all the Carter G. Woodson's just fire. But I think his, y'all gonna take the back door on your own was exactly what it is. Right here. Is this it? No. Although he is it's such a good book. Any purple who will vote for the same way for 3 generations should be should lose their vote. Wow, boy. All right. When a man controls how you think. So he says, when you control a man's thinking, you do not have to worry about his actions. You do not have to tell him not to stand here or go yonder. He will find his proper place and will stay in it. You do not need to send him to the back door. He will go without being told. In fact, If there is no black door, he will cut it out for his special benefit. His education makes it necessary. It goes back to this beautiful sister, for those of you who missed it. Beautiful woman! So basically this guy, Ed Glizzy, he's complaining about this woman. So he's like, this is Instagram versus real life. Y'all be safe out here. And I mean, the woman kind of does look a little different, right? So this is her on Instagram. You know, she's kind of hiding the belly. And here, you know, she's not bad, but anyway. And then here you have her, and then here you have her, right? So basically the idea is that she looks better on Instagram. I guess this is the Instagram photo. Oh, maybe they're both Instagram photos. Okay, this is probably both Instagram photos, and this is her in real life, and this is her. And I guess he doesn't like this picture, which I thought this would have been an Instagram photo, but whatever, right? He's saying she probably like versus Instagram. So then this lady tells him she looks the same. You're corny, right? Like what are you talking about? She looks like the same woman, you know, just a different camera angle. And like I could see what this man is saying. Although this does look like a different woman, but I can see what this man is saying. But also I can't see what this man is saying, because it's not like, you know, like she looks basically like, yeah, you can tell she's chubby, right? So then he insults her and he says, "Bitch, you look like a baked cookie in the oven on 375 for 30 minutes," right? And of course she's gorgeous, but it goes back to what Carter G. Woodson said, and kind of like what Brother McCarty was saying. The white man doesn't tell you this woman is not pretty. He can't. But because you were trained by this white man, right? You were trained to think, you know, Scarlett Johansson, I don't know, Nicki Minaj, who's not bad looking, I guess, but Nicki Minaj, see, I don't know many people. Jennifer, I don't name people from the 90s, right? Jennifer Lopez. Because you're told all that, and because you're not told that, you know, the women that I named don't look like her, you like a baked cookie. You understand? Or even, you know, this lady who's, you know, I mean, you know, again, maybe you like her, maybe you don't. I don't know. But, you know, this woman, right? He's mocking these women for what? Right? For what? And it goes back to Carter G. Woodson. You don't have to teach people. Like you don't have to tell people anymore. You don't have to worry about their actions. You put somebody through the public school system long enough. You put people around people who were in the public school system long enough, and sure enough, without any direction from them, they will go and make fun of black women for white women. They'll go and do that. Let me try to wrap up this. Let me try to wrap this up. Let me see what the comments are. It's hard to change these windows. So he says, white folk got. Oh yeah, it's just patience. Jagan said she looked bleached on Instagram. She looks bleached on Instagram. Yeah, probably. Instagram filters change a lot. Oh, see, so that's what I'm saying. It might be that the guy was. See, I thought he was saying that she looks fat, but maybe you're right. Maybe what they're saying is maybe he's just a colorist and he just thinks she's darker in real life. If you're talking about well, who are you talking about looks bleached? You talking about the dark skin sister or the? See, I thought he was saying the girl looks fat, the other one, but maybe you're right. And he really just hates dark skin. So maybe he's saying. Because this does look light, and this one does look darker. But, like, I guess that might be what he was trying to complain about. Because I thought he was saying she's fat, you know? Because I was actually thinking that this was the real life picture, you know, because she does look chubby. And then here, you know. But I actually just didn't understand it. But I guess maybe he was always colorist, and then, you know, this beautiful woman said something and he just continued the colorism. So I don't know. But it is what it is. You know, like again, Carter G. Woodson. You know? And we all know that especially like growing up, I think a lot of black folk would make fun of darker skin and lighter skin. You know what I mean? they would make fun of both. And so, like, somebody like my complexion wouldn't be made fun of, but somebody darker than me or much lighter than me would be. And we kind of grew up with that. It was kind of the staple here. Although sometimes light skin would be praised, but it's very rare for dark skin to be praised, if we're being honest. And again, it's systematic. It's systemic because you read Malcolm X's autobiography. Same thing happened with him. He rejected a dark skinned black woman for a white woman. And then if you read Assata Shakur's autobiography, she says when she was younger too, same thing. She rejected a dark skinned black man for a she just rejected him because he was dark. So that's again systematic, because we're talking about Assata Shakur going to school, Malcolm X going to school, those were before some of us were born, Let me go back to this book window because we probably should start wrapping up so that we can. I'm already home, but I might have to go shopping. The filter makes her look more even too. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, you talking about the first one or the next? You said this dark skinned woman that she look like she bleached. She looks bleached on Instagram. I don't know. I hope not, but Another thing too is that we got to realize that lighting for cameras or lighting in rooms could sometimes make you look lighter. Like I could sometimes look a little Jamaican red, depending on the lighting, So like for instance, like I for a long time I was thinking that I might be a little bit like people might think I was light skinned because I usually look at myself in my bedroom mirror, and my bedroom mirror is just has a different lighting. So the chubby one, yeah. So I don't know if she uses the filter to look lighter, but I mean I guess that's weird. Like again, that's both of them being colorist. You know what I mean? Another thing too is that cameras are not designed for our complexions. Because like a lot of cameras that these white folk use, they're not designed for our complexion. So a lot of times, like we might have to turn up the brightness to see ourselves. You know what I mean? So that's another thing too. Like it's like, yeah, you might look a little lighter just off that. Or because I remember one time I was dating this darker woman, and I had to change the camera settings. And I didn't try to make a big deal about it, but it is she knew it was a big deal. Now she was gorgeous. I liked her, but she didn't like the fact that I was going to Africa to live. So she broke up with me. But it's whatever. So much of it's geared toward people with pale skin. Yeah, I mean, and of course, like white people are supposed to build things for themselves. But the caveat is that black people are supposed to build things for themselves. We just don't understand that caveat, to a large extent. But let me continue this book. So he says, Africans followed. Not he. I said this right. Malcolm became an icon and talking styles repeated by many Africans that followed, but at what cost? Central Eurasianist, a spiritualist, promotes their beliefs using Malcolm X's images. So the Muslims recruit other people into Islam using Malcolm X, and they just tell them, "Oh yeah, but Malcolm X didn't have the real Islam, but he wanted the real Islam." That's one of the problems with Malcolm X as the leader, to be honest, because one of the conclusions is go to Islam. Now, if I were being honest with you, now that I know a little more about Islam, I would say of the three Abrahamic religions, yeah, Islam was the best. I think it's Islam, then Judaism, then Christianity. But like just off of like principles and ideas and beliefs. But because the Islam, the Muslim won't. Like the Muslim would fight. Like the Muslim believes in conquest and shit. I'm not saying that Christians never conquered anybody, because of course they have. But the Muslims like teach conquest and shit. But anyway, but of course I don't agree with any of them. I'm just saying that if I had to choose between the three, I would probably choose the Muslims. But anyway, so Central Eurasian and spiritualists promote their beliefs using Malcolm's image, and the anti-African Eurasianist sex cults multiplied and diversified, right? So so the sex cults like the Moors and the Nation of Gods on Earth and all that shit, they multiplied using the Malcolm X formula. In fact, who was that guy? They said he built pyramids in some city in America, and he's just like in prison for molesting people. And of course, let's point it out, Brother Polite. Well, I don't want to say Brother Polite, but Polite, dude, preyed on children, drugged and molested a child. Okay, now I'm gonna say allegedly just for legal purposes, but as far as I understand, he got convicted, so it's true. But drugged and molested a child. And again, you have the religiosity that makes people so stupid to trust your child to a damn sex cultist. This is why I tell you, stay away from cults. Cults come in a variety of forms. Not all of them are sex cults, and not all of them are anti-African or a spiritualist. Some would seem pro-African, and some would seem pro-African spirituality. But they all have Askari leadership. Don't go to no damn cults. They're all traitors. And this is where you, like Malcolm X, can err. Whatever you do, only involve yourselves in programs of empowerment and empowering programmatic thinkers and leaders, particularly, and you know how I am, solution of Poko Waset Dakiru. And again, Poko Waset Dakiru has nothing to do with me. Okay? It's just a program that every other people use to get power. And I just put African names on it. But this is basically education and elites. Primary education, tertiary education, or secondary education, tertiary education, and leadership. That's it. Boko Waset Nakeru. You take control of your secondary leadership, your secondary education. You take control of your tertiary education. That's where you learn your skills, your physics, your so on and so forth. And you take control of your leadership. That's Boko Waset Nakeru. Okay? More particularly the Ankobia. Now, don't wait for an Askari menace to step on your toes. Don't be blinded by a few good deeds or a few good words or even a few good promises or a few good works. The moment you notice Askari and leadership, disassociate completely. Understand the African way of reciprocity and cast aside all who don't measure sufficiently. This is crucial. There are African groups who will appear Africanist but are Askari cults. Like I said, at the time I was getting attacked by Askari. People who seem bright, seem like whatever. But you gotta know them. Some may even seem to do good works. Just disassociate and do the work yourself. Don't wait for others to do work. Do the work yourself. And Ndugu means brother, sister, sibling. Listen. Your association, physical, verbal, or even digital, is power. Now, I probably shouldn't have wrote this, but you get what I'm saying. Your aim is to empower Ankobia, Arkeru, those of Beru Nefer, nothing and no one else. Our mutual empowerment is the end-all, be-all. You're supposed to mutually empower each other. Power is everything, but empowering Askari is treason. Malcolm did not heed the first sign. Learn from his mistakes, heed, and gain power independent of Askari. Because Askari always turn against Africans. Heed, Ndugu, heed. Now again, I was a little bit tight with some Askari I knew, but that's it. That's it. Now, Dwight York and the Nawobians. Yep, that's it. Dwight York. Yeah, fucking pedophile. A lot of these people, pedophile. A lot of these people are cult leaders. Afro Jam said, mostly made by East Asian and Europeans. Yeah, we have to start. In fact, I should probably write that down in my thing. But we have to start producing. I tell people that we should produce cameras, but I don't really go into detail about the need for cameras, lenses to pick up our range of complexions, right? And it's not like some of us aren't light skinned. Some of us are. I mean, nobody should buy into this the myth that black people cannot possibly naturally have light skin, because obviously you have to be able to do that on the planet, because the way how human procreation works is that you will have arbitrary mutations. We don't have perfect clones. All the same, I want all the same. We have to also accept that our people, or a lot of our people, or the majority of our people, or maybe possibly, particularly in the equatorial regions, could be dark skinned. Now South Sudan is not in the equatorial region, but you go to South Sudan, you see those Nilotic people, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful people, dark skinned. Anyway, but that's the whole podcast. I appreciate y'all for coming through. Let me just shout out everybody who's been here. Revolutionary Matron. Shout out to the sister. Make sure you guys subscribe. If you're not subscribed to that channel, come on. I don't know why I gotta keep telling you that. Make sure you guys subscribe to Revolutionary Matron. She does her podcast. She might be doing it daily, but which is a lot. I don't know how she didn't get worn out, because I get worn out already, and I do it once a week. But she reading Chancellor Williams' Destruction of Black Civilization. Great reading. Make sure you guys check it out. Brother Bakari, he's doing black businesses. Make sure you guys check him out. Smiling Aardvark showed up, said hi. Appreciate that, Smiling Aardvark. We got, as a matter of fact, let me see. I don't know if I have all the comments visible, so let me see if I can scroll up and thing. So, okay, so I got Beats by Dizzy. He who could, so I missed Beat by Dizzy. It wasn't on the top chat, it was on live chat. So sometimes you gotta know to check live chat instead of top chat. But Beats by Dizzy says, he who controls the economy and your God controls the nation. Yep. You know? And this is why you gotta, that's why I say, when you're in the West, you know, you might not be at your best. Okay? When you're in the West, you might not be at your best. I'm going to put it that way. Brother Bakari was here. Of course, Brother Bakari, you guys got to check him out. Bit of Medicine Podcast. Does a great podcast on Saturdays. Hopefully, he'll do some other stuff, too. I was actually talking to a brother who is interested in that. So, Bit of Medicine could watch out for that. Jordan says, don't block my tech. But Jordan was here, so shout out to Jordan. Afro Jam was here, bringing some knowledge about the 19th century and 20th century and things that of that nature. Kid Down 7, legend, was here. Shout out to Kid Down 7. Always a good brother to be around. Jigan was here. Jigan was saying a lot of good stuff as well. You know, about childcare and all that kind of stuff. So appreciate Jigan for being here as well. And I think that's everybody. Jigan says, wait a minute, I did. Me too. They unsubscribed me. That's why I keep gotta remind y'all. They unsubscribed me, and like right now she's like sitting at like 19 subscribers or something like that. You know, which doesn't really make much sense. But yeah. Just try to what I say. They say subscribe and hit the notification bell, and hopefully that's enough. You know, for her. But like, yeah, it sometimes be like that. Like I don't even know. Sometimes I get warnings saying that she's going to podcast, and then it doesn't happen. So, it's kind of weird. But yes, Matron's doing it, and yeah, she's bringing that voice too. Anyway, but that's pretty much it though. Thanks, family, for coming through. Hopefully, you guys got an answer. As I say, will we see him as a cult leader if you're alive today? Absolutely. But I hope you guys appreciated the resources I brought. Make sure you guys check out the Dr. Ben lecture in full if you're interested. And of course, you could poke around the website and find whatever you're looking for. So other than that, thank you for your time. Appreciate it. Shemim Hotep, Anku Jas and Neb Neb. Amen. Ma'at. Dua Netra.